caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right girls, better tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
It really is too bad that Stugotz has decided to flee the studio because I believe he would have enjoyed this particular conversation. An oldie but a goodie. LeBron versus MJ. The only reason I bring it up, and I know it's tired and lazy to bring up the Cowboys and LeBron, what's the third one this time of year that you could go to when it's the slowest day of the sports year?
We don't care about baseball enough anymore to fix it.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Jeremy does care about baseball that way. I have a renewed interest in baseball.
Or did they fix it and we're just like, well, that didn't do it.
Our job here is done.
We thought it might.
Fix it more.
Yeah. You know what? Here's how you fix it. Let's just all go back to 1997.
I would argue that the problem with how do you fix baseball as a topic this time of year is that they have fixed baseball, but not enough for you. Like, that's what's happened. Because they have fixed it. They've implemented all the ideas we had all those years ago.
I've discovered it's the smartphone. And everything else over the last 15 years was just us trying to rationalize why it wasn't the smartphone.
I think they need to sprinkle in some things that, like, just bring us back. Like, we need a Gary Sheffield type stance. No one's got that in baseball.
They have Babe Ruth playing right now.
That's right.
Nothing is bringing us back.
They kind of have multiple Babe Ruths.
They have a guy who
Sheffield.
Enough
pitches.
with Mike Trout.
Mike Trout's not
Enough
pitching.
with him. Enough.
Mike Trout. I'm
Like
talking about
they have the novelty and sensation of Ichiro mixed and matched with unprecedented power and pitching all in one guy in a huge market. And we don't
You know what
care.
I need? They need a Jeff Bagwell. That's what they need right here.
They have an Aaron Judge.
Your
down a little lower video.
Bagwell's
A little lower
not. The
video.
stance isn't good enough. You got to
kidding me?
the
Look at this
elbow's
thing.
got to be a little higher.
The ass has to be on the
I
ground.
am low right now, Dan. You don't even know.
There used to be a guy who made a living off of doing impersonations of batting stances.
Oh, the batting stance
Oh,
guy.
go!
he was
He's
the
great.
best.
He's great.
Ah.
What do you? Why? What happened? Find that video and send it to video instead of just going and
His
giving
Kevin
up on
Youkilis
it.
was
Billy
great,
brought
Dan.
the guy up.
I know,
and
and then
was
gets
unimpressed
bored
by
with his
it.
own subject as soon as we buy in on it. That's
come to my
so
head.
Billy. So Billy.
I'm just saying, I mean, this is the guy's whole gimmick. It just
But
copies
you
other
brought
people's batting
the
stances.
subject up,
It's
and then
just crazy. This is someone's profession. I don't understand
It wasn't his profession. It
It
was
was.
just something
No.
he was doing.
Influencer.
I guarantee you that this man quit his job to become batting stance guy at one point
But
in time.
we all tried to help you.
Damn, look at
we
those
were like,
calves.
yeah,
He
batting
quit.
stance
He
guy.
quit
and
as soon as
Well, my
soon-
point was how crazy it was that this was a thing. This was a time in this country that we had a guy who would just go around. Baseball, look, I love baseball, okay? But I will say this. Baseball attracts some weirdos, okay? And I'm not saying the batting stance guy is a weirdo. I will say that the guy that's like the middle-aged man that runs and knocks over little kids to steal home run balls, that guy's a weirdo. We can agree with that.
No,
right?
that guy's an.
They made Marlins man.
Yeah, and
That's a weirdo.
he's got all his screws.
Kevin Youkilis never swung at a 3-0 pitch.
What a stance.
That's not true.
No, it is true. I
That's
saw
not
that
true.
too. I scrolled. Did you scroll by some Instagram
Yeah.
thing that
No,
was like
that's not
odd
true.
facts about
Source,
baseball?
just
Is that where the coconut
internet.
thing came from? I don't believe that.
I mean, it probably isn't true, but the internet told me it was true.
Similar to how Louis Castillo would never swing at the first pitch.
I do not want to escape, as much as Billy would like everyone to escape this, what he just did.
What I
because
do.
It was a real window into his soul. You mentioned batting stance guy.
Yeah, now on to the next.
It's one of the few instances in the history of the show where you got immediate buy-in on something from something you said from everybody, and you got bored by the subject 3 syllables after that because you didn't want to be going along with the crowd.
No falsehoods. I knew that, my point was I can't believe that we made this a thing. And then everybody was like, oh, that guy was great. I'm like, oh, here we go down this path.
Allow me to get...
Why is he? Like, I'm on his Instagram Instagram right now. The third to last post he did was Andre Dawson. Like, respectfully, batting stance guy. Who in the year of our Lord 2024 is asking for impersonations of Andre Dawson's batting stance?
Throwback.
Stugotz did at my wedding.
The Hawk. I can't believe that he asked him to write a chapter in that book.
It's crazy. It's totally insane.
And the chapter, to my understanding, was you didn't deserve to be MVP. Tell me
Yes,
why you did.
That's right. On a last place team, you can't be MVP. I can't believe that you are legitimately learning for the first time that Stugotz is flirting with WFAN again. He wants to be a program director, man.
He doesn't.
Well, he doesn't want to do the work of it. He just wants the power.
No, he just wants the money. Yeah,
And
he
that
just
too.
wants the money. Like he'll outsource the power to somebody else to do his
Not
bidding.
exactly scraping together 2 nickels over here.
Well, but that's the thing. He doesn't want the money. It's not enough money. Otherwise, he'd already be doing it at WFAN.
No, he wants the money that he thought was attached to the role.
No, he wants all the money here and that money without doing any of the work of being program director.
I could
over
not,
there.
and I hope he's listening. I could not envision a worse program director at this
Oh,
point.
that's no.
No,
that-
I mean, look at how we opened the show, guys. He is who he has always been, always. So,
But
you
he's
don't
got-
want that as a program director.
he's got a lot
You don't
of-
want a program director. You don't know if he's going to be in town or not.
But he's got a lot of good ideas, and he does care when he cares. It's just trickier these days to get him to care.
Would
the
he
way
care
that
to
used
share them?
Well, he
Please.
does. He's angling. The whole thing, I think, is meant to be a negotiation. I mean, contract here for everybody. I think it's meant to be to create. Look, man, the industry isn't dying, but it's shaking, right? When you get all of these people at ESPN who are either being asked to take pay cuts or get out of there while they give the money to just a few people, the industry really is struggling and spasming. And when I get scared about stuff around here, it's at least in part because I'm not sure if we don't make this succeed, where are these jobs in Florida? Like what the jobs that we presently have here, where do we get them in Florida while remaining near and around our families if they're not created by us?
In May 2008, Dan Patrick mentions batting stance guy and his, quote, unmarketable skill.
Well, it's not a business, Billy.
He made it one. That's the part that I can't believe. We had this country where he was just running around doing impressions. Thank goodness for the MLB Network, by the way, right? Because then what are you going to do? You're going to go do the local morning show circuit?
The only jobs in media out here are probably. I mean, you would assume that you're right. We'd properly be boned, but there's soccer jobs and Spanish language jobs. So we'll start learning Spanish.
Okay, very good. You mentioned the smartphone, and I wanted to ask everybody here, because this is an exasperation of mine, as things get updated, do you guys believe that everything around Apple, that there is a glitch in the system that allows their stuff to fall apart 2 or 3 or 4 years in, so that you're obligated because of your addiction to again feed them money in 3 or 4 years? Because there's a feature, not a bug in their system that breaks things after your addiction.
Are you posing this as a theory? They lost a major lawsuit
It's a
because
fact.
of that way. Yeah. Because of that. Yeah.
My wife's phone froze and she couldn't get it started back again, so she had to get a new one.
Yeah, they had to suffer the consequences in that they got fined an amount that did not at all equal the amount of money that they made because everybody's phone just started crapping out whenever there was a new one.
Do you guys have any other examples of the big corporations doing something like that kind of nefarious once it is that they've gotten us that kind of addicted to things? Because my frustration was that it's just happened too recently with too many things in my house where I'm like, my God, what a great grift. It's not just, you've heard me talk before about Apple can charge me for certain things at this point, and I don't even know what they're for, and I just assume that it's right because there's a $6.99 charge over here somewhere that I'm assuming they could do to a lot of people who may not be paying attention to every $6.99.
The only other example I could cite is just the general conspiracy to keep the oil industry alive.
Well, that's a darker
a good
and
one.
more serious subject.
My
Yes.
computer was 18 minutes behind for the last 3 days, and I couldn't figure out why. It fixed itself. But I was quite concerned. I couldn't figure out how do I speed this up 18 minutes and why are we 18 minutes behind? And it wasn't frozen 18 minutes behind. It was continuing to move just 18 minutes behind every single day.
You're in agreement that Apple is actively. It's not just that everyone's listening to us on our devices. Like how is it that we can be this okay with these things? Is our dependency on this company too big to fail? Whatever it is, $3 trillion market share, can buy everything in the world except Bezos. How is it that you're not more troubled by the fact that we've got devices that are listening to us and breaking every couple of years so they could charge us more money?
Well, I'm not, because I have a Samsung Galaxy on Android.
You show that company as you tout Google.
I'm not touting. I'm actually touting Samsung, actually.
Yeah, but it runs on Google.
Runs on Google.
Yeah, so like you're giving your data to a big tech company either way. Like you're really showing Apple.
A chiropractor.
But
Once you go, you got to keep going back.
Yeah,
Ooh,
he's right.
Really good one.
Well, I mean, just in general, not to sound like a crazy person, but like any business or whatever whose like business plan is to solve your problem would go out of business if they actually solved all of your problems. So they don't want to actually solve all of your problems because then they wouldn't exist.
The money's not in the cure.
Chili's 2 for $20 menu keeps me coming back.
That hasn't been the thing.
They changed it.
Exactly right. Thank you, Jeremy. We need to have truthers come out and say this Chili's 2 for $20 is now like 2 for $99. We haven't been 2 for $20 in damn near a decade.
It's heartbreaking.
And
Now it's like 3 for $10. There's like some weird thing. They have like some like small plates.
3-0
for 10.
Small plates?
Three cubes of ice for $10 maybe. And the $5 footlong, what happened to that? Okay? I mean, now we're like at $15 for a 6-inch sub at Subway.
I would like for you guys to give me the greatest example, because there are a number of times recently where I've gotten super frustrated on behalf of others for things that are so not affordable now that used to be. I'd like for each of you to come up with a single thing that has recently floored you because the price of it is so much different than it used to be, and you're like, what the hell is going on with inflation in a country of a lot of one-issue voters? I can't afford things anymore is something that is going to make people both angry and vote differently.
I've got one that goes the other way. I always took a principled stand on buying food at a movie theater. We all know, like, we sneak candy into a movie theater. It's part of the
I
experience.
taught my daughter that. It's like the first illegal thing I taught my daughter.
Yeah, but
Not that
Good
I don't
father
plan on
right
doing
there.
other things. I'm just saying.
But I went to a movie with my daughter, and where I used to be able to say no to anybody else, I'm not going to be able to say no to my daughter because it's an event anytime we actually go as a family to a movie theater. So I went, and for the first time in like 15 years, I bought concession stand food at a movie theater.
$62 you probably spent or something.
Honestly, it was such a relief because everything else has gotten so out of hand that they handed me like a $4 candy, like a $4 sweet tart. I'm like, whoa, this is the life. This is incredible. Inflation has, like, they were so ahead of the curve on inflation that everything around it caught up. And now it's like a bargain.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Has inflation gotten so out of control that movie theater concessions are now cheap? Chris, I want to follow up on the first illegal thing you have taught your daughter.
The only
Well,
that I will.
for now.
I should have rephrased.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
The one illegal thing I will allow her to do. There it is.
Getting to the subject I was trying to get to.
There it is.
I don't think it's illegal. There's not a law against it.
Sneaking candy that they sell there, I mean, I'm probably not going to get arrested.
Morally questionable, maybe.
It's policy. It's not
Probably
a law.
probably get me kicked out of the movie at least.
No, they'll take anyone at this point at a movie theater, I think.
Elite combo, a bottle of a red blend that's moderately priced at a movie theater with bunch of crunch. I'm telling you, this is like a sommelier would say that is an incredible pairing, sir. What a decision you have made.
All right,
Wise choice.
Mike is obsessed with this now. Mike wants to bring the movie theater back. Mike is one of the people in the world who is not just romantic about the movie theater, but is actively trying to do things, make events, and take people out to the movie theater. So he gets obsessed with all their little marketing strategies, the popcorn buckets, the food that has a theme. What is it? A spicy Frito of some
dude.
sort?
Well, Twisters. So while you were away, I made the point that I think Top Gun Maverick was. You could make a solid argument that it was the most important movie ever because it saved movie theaters, and also it was awesome. It was incredible, and it was a star-making vehicle for a lot of the members of the cast. And one of the cast members
Still
in that
haven't
movie,
seen it, by the way.
Oh, you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick?
No, I'm ashamed of myself for not having seen it because it's the rare movie that I thought was a super bad idea, had enormous expectations, and somehow exceeded those expectations.
For all those reasons, Tom Cruise deserves a special Academy Award just for Top Gun Maverick. But Glenn Powell was one of these stars that was made by this film. He was in Hollywood for a long time, hadn't become a star, and he didn't really steal this movie because the movie was impossible to steal from anyone. It was an incredible movie, but he became a superstar from it, and now he is the lead in a reinvigorated Twisters franchise. If this movie came out in 2018, it might have been direct to streaming. It would have been a dud. It would have been panned. Nobody would have been with it. But
a good old-fashioned disaster movie.
This was a thing in the 90s. Disaster movies in the summer, box office events, food tie-ins, be it fast food tie-ins or snacks. Fritos has blessed us with the nostalgia of something tangible. And this is why all these novelty items are coming back in a big way. In an era of everything living on a cloud, everything being streamed, even your ticket stub is no longer tangible. You're dying, yearning for something tangible. So I am going to sneak these Fritos Twister Collabo Twister chips because it's flaming hot and ranch. You shake it up in the bag and you make a little twister inside the bag. And I'm going to the theaters on Sunday to watch Twisters. And now, like, there's already, I may dress up as a cow because this harkens back to a time where the disaster movie in the summer really meant something. So I'm going 4DX. Now, I told you, my previous experience with 4DX caught me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect.
Shakes the seats,
yeah,
correct?
I was pouring my moderately priced red blend, and I was watching Ethan Hunt motorcycle throughout Europe, and I got wine all over myself. But now that I'm prepared for it, I have accepted the challenge. I'm dressing in all white in my cow costume and getting a moderately priced bottle of red blend to see exactly how I can survive this experience. And that is just basically the appetizer for next week, where Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman try to save cinema.
Roy, why are you laughing at the assortment of Mike Ryan observations here?
I'm just wondering if that cow suit's going to have the udders on it.
Yeah, you want the udders. It's not a cow suit. It's not a cow suit without the udders.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you've seen these popcorn buckets, but this is a true to Dune 2, the popcorn bucket became a meme, and what you end up having is like, oh, I want to go to the movie theaters. I wasn't sold on this movie, but I want the novelty item because this is going to be a collector's item because we've had essentially 20 years with zero movie memorabilia. No movie posters. You're not going to a video store to say, hey, do you have any old movie posters? You can't even save a ticket stub anymore. So the Alien popcorn bucket looks incredible. I cannot wait to eat out of that thing.
I do think it's pretty hilarious that the first popcorn bucket that's bringing the novelty popcorn bucket back is the Dune 2 one that everybody wanted to.
Yeah. Well, now the whole thing is like, the challenge is make a popcorn bucket that people want to. So
put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did everyone want to have sex with the popcorn bucket?
Come on, thank you for not saying.
Come on.
But, I mean, it was implausible. Number one, the hole
Everybody
was
wanted to.
rather large, but also it had the spines in there. It was kind of like a cat's vagina. That's why cats scream so much when they have sex. They have those spines inside. So anytime you hear a
not the in
cat
that
screaming,
hurts.
it's the out. Mm-hmm. They're trying to pull out, and the spines are just like keeping the penis in.
Was Dune where the popcorn bucket made its return?
Yeah, the novelty popcorn bucket had its moment with Dune, and now everybody is chasing. And yes, you have tentpole franchises, big, large movie franchises taking a stab at this, but I think we're now on a path where these are such a hit. People want some tangible merchandise attached with their movie-going experience that boring courtroom dramas should take a stab at making a popcorn bucket. I'll take a Primal Fear popcorn bucket. Let's do it.
Lewis just said something in my ear, and I'm going to run with it. That the penis actually has the spines on it and not the vagina.
Well, either way, it hurts when it's being ripped
Right,
out.
it does hurt on the way out.
Good, I'm
We're
glad we
right on
clarified.
that.
Yeah.
But where the spines
It's
are,
a penis?
That's what
Cats.
confirmed
That's what cats
100%
have.
in my ear.
Confirmed 100% by the person that told it
Well,
to
they
you.
looked it up.
Can
Like,
you
should I
ask that person
Google-
about Kevin Euclid?
Should I Google cat penis?
How about Craig Counsell's stance?
Oh.
Bring that thing back.
There was a time a person could make a living off of this.
Craig
It's
Counsell.
crazy.
Lewis was right.
Suspiciously
$5
dark hair.
footlongs. Insane.
Ron McGill brought that up.
I think that what you're arguing on behalf of is a good idea, at least in part because the first memory I have of sort of becoming a baseball fan was getting those Slurpee big gulp type of cups at 7-Eleven of baseball players. This was, good God, this was in the 70s. But it's not just that it was memorabilia. It made a child a lifelong fan of baseball because as a child I had connection to something that was tangible, as you mentioned. I do wonder, like we've talked a lot about the fact that we're more connected than we've ever been and more disconnected than we've ever been because everybody you walk past in the streets, they're all staring inside their phones, and the only tangible thing that all of us have is some sort of addiction to these devices. And I do agree with you that you have to start reinventing portions of the industry in a way that grabs young people with just junk, toys, anything that they can have that's in their hands. God, I long for people wanting anything in their hands because I come back from Africa with an assortment of pictures and you're like, I could get that off of Google.
Yeah,
like none of
yeah,
those
yeah.
pictures. Like I've got an award-winning photographer with me. It's Ron McGill. He's taken all sorts of pictures that are beautiful and breathtaking. And you're like, yeah, anyone could have taken those. I could have downloaded that from my computer. I didn't have to go to Africa to go get it.
Pop culture, since basically the fidget spinner is missing tangible touchstones. You know, it's like you had all these things in the set. Slinky, you had all these things that were tangible that took you back to a time
Yo-yo.
when you held it. We don't really have those things anymore because the only thing we are holding is our phones.
Well, let me ask you on the subject of toys, because I guess the video game has probably replaced anything that resembles the toy. You guys can't shut up about this college football game, the EA Sports one. I think Chris Fowler's the next South Beach session. He's the voice of everything happening there, and it took many, many hours to do everything that he was doing there. But is there such a thing right now as a popular toy for children that
The
all
tablet.
children no, come on.
The tablets just replace it
No.
because a tablet's a catch-all.
It's
like
a
if
babysitter.
You can download an app that is a yo-yo rather than have an actual
You're
yo-yo.
telling me there's no such thing right now as a toy?
No, there are, but it's not a booming business. Like I said, where are these pop culture touchstones when it comes to toys? The last thing that was a tangible thing that was a sensation, I genuinely think, was the fidget spinner.
Billy, as you sit over there doing whatever it is that you do over the course of a day,
Funkos, they're collectible. They stay in the box.
Legos, maybe?
Yeah, Legos.
Kids still
I guess,
like Legos?
Yeah, Legos stand the test of time, I guess. But like, it's very few and far between.
Closing tabs right now. The tab I'm about to close is Weeb Eubank.
because
Because we were talking Jets yesterday on recording for GBF, and we were talking about how long Robert Saleh, spoiler alert, how long Robert Saleh would get a grace period if he won a Super Bowl as a Jet coach. So I was looking up how long Weeb Eubank survived with the Jets after winning their Super Bowl in 1969. Weeb Eubank.
okay, I'm glad that that's what you're doing during what
I'm
you're-
closing tabs because I
yeah.
need to have space for more tabs to open while I look up things like popcorn buckets
Right.
and
Yeah.
fidget spinners.
as you try to help the
pop
show
sockets,
at every
right? Is that what they're
turn.
called?
Yeah.
Pop sockets?
The
Little-
question I wanted to ask you is if you, while doing that in your role as anarchist who doesn't actually support anything that's happening around here, if you're secretly proud of yourself that 24 minutes have gone by and because of you, I haven't been able to get to LeBron and MJ. I got to this text too late, unfortunately. Stugotz is here, but he's in another room because he doesn't want to be around me until I get tested for COVID. But he's mad that no one in the room, like legitimately mad, just texted me, how is it? And this is how it is that he thinks he can be a program director, because he's like, how is it in a room full of talented people talking about the popcorn bucket that none of them were clever or smart enough to say that it should be a popcorn bucket? That's the kind of program director.
Gotta work on AM radio.
the kind of program director stuff that Stugotz wants to
Noted
take
good idea man, Stugotz.
to WFAN. Stugotz is evidently just typing in the other room commentary, so he's in the studio writing things that mock the show in real time if you want to watch it on YouTube.
With the talented comedy writers of the video team.
Yeah, who you take facts from, dangerous.
Well, they
when you're
confirmed
just-
their own facts.
It was
so-
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
We
you
have
say so.
confirmed
comedy.
through another graphic that Kevin Youkilis never swung at a 3-0 pitch.
Dan, you mentioned LeBron and Michael Jordan last segment, and we're going to get to it. But Bronny, the truth, huh?
12 points in a summer league game.
I mean, he hit some threes.
Jeremy came marching in here today like the front of a marching band, saying these are the 24 hours to be excited about the Heat, because LeBron is saying that Bam can shoot threes, and they've got the dunk of the summer league.
Yeah,
so
this
far.
is it. This is your 24 hours, because I know a lot of Heat fans have felt negative about the way the offseason has gone, running it back, whatever you got. But yesterday was one of those days where you can feel good, because first and foremost, Alondas Williams had the dunk of the summer league. It is one of the sickest dunks you'll find.
All right, hold on a minute. Let's just show it and hear it so people can enjoy it.
Out of the lane. Alondas Williams! Oh, goodness! The dunk of the summer! Wait a second. Where are we going to see that? Sports Center, top 10. Oh, out of the lane.
It was pretty good. You don't often get
A full cockback.
Yeah, I mean, but cock back to maximum extension of your arm until it's around your hip before you dunk it. Yeah, that's pretty
Hence
good.
full.
Ridiculous. But the reason to be optimistic isn't even Alondas Williams. It's what Khalil Ware and Bam Adebayo each did in their individual games. Khalil Ware has had a really good start to the Summer League. Yesterday, he had 24 points on 9 of 12 shooting. He's shown his ability to work from distance, but he's also blocking shots off ball, playing drop coverage, doing the things that the Heat are going to want him to do as a rookie, even though a lot of people thought he'd be a project initially. And the reason you get excited about a big is because Bam Adebayo playing the 4 next to Anthony Davis looks like a world beater playing for Team USA, as he should. He's surrounded by great teammates, but what he's doing offensively, stretching the floor for them, what he's doing on the defensive end, it's okay to feel optimistic today. There's all sorts of reasons why you don't have to, but when you look at those two guys and their individual performances, it allows you to feel optimistic about some of the other things going around the Heat, including Jaime Jaquez being called the best player on Team Select alongside Cooper Flagg. These are really positive things, and today's your 24 hours. The Knicks win the summer, the Sixers win the summer. You get your 24 hours just like the Rockets got when Reed Shepherd went off in the summer league.
So does that mean after today we won't hear you talk about it again?
Sure. That's why I said we get 24
you
hours.
better be careful offering that promise, Jeremy. You better be careful.
Unless you
offering-
guys ask me to.
That will not be happening.
I mean, I understand it's flattering. Team Select has a lot of good players, but I love that this guy is as good as a high schooler.
Well, that kid's going to be the number one pick. They're saying they're the two best players available.
I'm aware
there,
he's really
but-
good. And yes, while you can be encouraged by everyone that's on Team USA is singing Bam's praises, there is a lot of clamoring of people that watch international basketball that say Bam needs to start over Joel Embiid, particularly because Bam suits the international game so much more. What Joel does so well, or what he gets away with so often in the NBA, is flopping around, and officials in the international game just look at him with befuddlement and apathy because he's just flopping around, and they don't reward that over there. But I will say the reason why Bam looks so good is because he's playing with such better players.
Yeah.
It is a blessing to have Bam be, at best, the fourth most important player on the court. If anything, this accentuates the need to surround Bam with even more talent, something that up to right now, even though we're excited for 24 hours, the Miami Heat has failed miserably at.
And that's perfectly fair. You can have that take in 24 hours from now, because today you're allowed to be happy. Heat fans, I'm looking directly into the camera and speaking to you. Today is the day you're allowed to be happy about what Bam Adebayo did yesterday, about what Khalil Ware looks like, and what he could be moving forward. And hey, use that to feel optimistic about your other young players. Use it to feel optimistic about the things that some of those other players on the team, like Terry Rozier or Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson, can provide. It's your 24 hours to be optimistic. You can go back to your baptism tomorrow.
Stop him.
When are we
Stop being a homer, bro.
Executive produce the show, Chris. You can't let him just run around all over the place masturbating about Khalil Ware.
No, I
he's
would
a
need
what?
to do 2 popcorn bucket for that.
Oh, boy. When are we going to lock up the sweater whip? Why is he an unrestricted free agent still? Guys out there hitting threes like it's nobody's business.
Is that why he hasn't been going to the arena? Can he not practice there right now? Because
he's in the summer league.
He's in the summer league.
While I was out, you guys please tell me if what Khalil Ware did with Jeremy, where he gave a Mount Rushmore of 4 players that were ridiculous, was something he was actively doing as a young person to be a troll. Did you guys identify? I'm trying to get caught up on all of the things that I missed while I was gone, and it's been a lot. So where did you guys land on this? Because when I saw that, I'm like, this is asinine. They must have made fun of this. This can't be something serious that a young person is saying.
Yeah, for those of you who don't remember what Khalil Ware said, he told me that his Mount Rushmore of NBA players all time was Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Anthony Edwards, and Bam Adebayo. And I can tell you,
he panicked after 3.
I think he was trolling. I think he was having some fun with the guys that are currently in the league, knowing it would make some headlines. I don't think he realized that it would get aggregated by, like, everybody.
I'm just realizing you were in Africa when we discussed the Spider Web. You don't know about Spider Web.
I mean, I know that
It's a movement that took the nation while you were gone for 2 weeks, but it took the nation while you were gone. Everybody around the country was screaming, Spider Web!
All you gotta do
Because
is
of
say it
Cole
like that.
Swider. Yeah, he was hitting
Try it,
threes
Dan.
like it was nobody's business, as I told you before. At
Nobody's
record
business.
paces, people were saying, you know what? This might be the next Steph Curry. That happened while you were in Africa. Everybody was saying, Spider Web! It was a big moment. And then, for whatever reason, Pat Riley and the Heat, they pulled back his offer, and then he became an unrestricted free agent. Because he's such a good team guy, he's still out there playing number 21, the hollowed number 21 of greats like Hassan Whiteside in the history of the Heat.
Sean Leonard, I believe.
Yeah. Spider Whip!
What whip?
Why is the expression like nobody's business? Because the batting stance is literally nobody's business. And when you say he was hitting threes and it caught on like nobody's business, I don't understand what that expression means. What does that mean? Do you know what it means?
I don't know. I'm not a wordsmith. I just report
Well,
the facts.
they're your words.
Spider Whip!
They're your facts.
It's not his business.
It's not my business.
Let me ask all of you this question because this is what I have assumed. And I have not done any reporting on this, but I will because I do want to find out about this, and I've been covering this team for a long time. I do not believe that by the trading deadline of this upcoming year that the Heat will be there saying, oh, yeah, we still think we're as good as the Sixers, and we'll just magic our way up there. Like what we have seen over the last 2 years is, and this is understandable, I get why this happens. I know that a lot of people would look at Pat Riley and say it's passed him by. In the last 2 years, they've swung and missed on everybody because they have swung and missed on everybody. But they've been passed, and the way they got passed was just like they fell in love with a 30-13 stretch that Deion Waiters and Hassan Whiteside made them feel like, well, we've got to try to run it back. What happened as an 8 seed by beating Giannis in the first round made them try to run it back, and then you saw it's not good enough. And now as you see what Philadelphia has done, and I assume Milwaukee would get better, they're behind. They're clearly and obviously behind. And given what I'm about to say, because if you've been connected at all to mortality in the last few months of Richard Simmons is dying, Dr. Ruth is dying, Bill Walton's dying, Jerry West is dying. Pat Riley doesn't have any reason in the world to still be working at his age approaching 80. He's not going to wait around for another young team to ferment. Most recently, the things that they have done with young people is something that Pat Riley has never before done in his career. So I have assumed that the next play is going to be an assortment of pieces that gets Jimmy Butler for 1 year maximum Jimmy Butler, and that he's going to try and get Durant again. even though it's old and everybody would look at it and say, really? That's what you're doing? It's Phoenix. It didn't work in Phoenix. I've assumed that that's the move that they're going to try and get in play for, because I don't see a better one about winning right now this minute, because you cannot expect this Miami Heat team to be good enough as it is to challenge Boston and Philadelphia.
Well, it's been fermenting. This core has been fermenting for quite a while with Pat not doing anything. Meanwhile, guys like Matt Ishbia are the ones living like they're dying. So I do know that they did try really aggressively, made a very competitive offer for DeMar DeRozan, and they thought that could maybe salvage their offseason. But this is where you're at right now. DeMar DeRozan was essentially given the choice, where do you want to be? He preferred to be on the West Coast, and he took the storied Sacramento Kings franchise over Heat culture.
Jeremy said we can't talk about this today, though, guys.
That's
we
fair
have to
enough.
talk
Not the
about
day
this
for it.
tomorrow.
Positivity today,
24
guys.
hours.
Fair
and
enough.
Then we can have
Wait
these
until tomorrow.
conversations.
Yeah.
Maybe we put a pin in this until
Remember the
tomorrow.
positive things
Table
about
it.
the guys that are here.
Stop being a homer, bro.
Fine. I will finally be able to get to this LeBron story.
Oh,
I just want to read some of the commentary because I think it's interesting. I would imagine that the audience that follows everything that's happening in sports takery would find it interesting. But Nick Wright came on our show, and if you're watching what's happening at Fox as Skip Bayless leaves and Colin Cowherd builds an empire, Nick Wright is in position to be Fox's big sports star. And one of the ways that he got into that position is by taking a hair-splitting take of LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. To me, it's lowest common denominator idiotic and also brilliant, because it's just an easy way to manipulate sports fans on a passion that they have that is crazed and unreasonable. So what I underestimated yesterday when I said I believe that LeBron James in retirement will eclipse what Michael Jordan has done in retirement. A whole lot of people reacted very hostilely to that. I'm just going to read some of the commentary. Can he ever be taken seriously again? That's meaning me. Typical casuals trying to disrespect the undisputed GOAT. We don't care, buddy. Hit the gym. You look like you just ate a bunch of vanilla ice cream. I think Dan. I think Dan.
Why is it vanilla?
I don't know.
What is that a shot at?
I don't even like.
Is it
vanilla.
the mustache?
I
What is
don't
going
like
on?
vanilla. I think it might be. Yeah,
It might be the
It
mustache.
might be the white in my beard. Yeah. I think Dan is mistakenly arguing on bigger when it's really just different. I don't. It's not that I don't like vanilla. It's that I like more flavors.
I was going to say.
oh.
Well, vanilla is kind of like a vessel. Like if you really like toppings, you go vanilla because you
Caramel
know
on
what
it.
you know what to expect there. You don't want to take away from the toppings.
Yeah, sprinkles.
LeBron is a big deal, but this is a blind spot for Dan as he continues to be obsessed with new media. He'll never be as big as Jordan, never. Kobe was bigger than LeBron before his death and still is post-death. LeBron is the third most well-known NBA player of all time, and that's fine. Stop drinking before the show. P.S. You lost your personality with the weight loss. That happens sometimes. That happens sometimes to
Yeah.
I mean, I'd take it as a compliment. Instead, you lost some weight.
Yeah, but Jonah Hill's not doing really funny roles anymore.
So let me read
Why
it.
does Seth Rogen look crazy?
I haven't seen him in a minute.
Oh
I mean,
my
let me
God,
pull
he
him
looks
up.
like he came out of a time machine from 1970. The way that he dresses.
Now he just sells ashtrays.
What?
He started a whole company where he like molds ashtrays and stuff. He
Yeah.
started a whole
perfect for. He apparently likes weed.
All right. What?
Seth Rogen?
We'll get back to that. Back
His
to LeBron.
ashtrays have little joint holders in them.
Put it on the poll,
I've
please,
heard.
Juju. Does Seth Rogen look like he stepped out of the 1970s? Yes, he's one of the most famous weed smokers. He has said publicly, among other things, why would he have kids when he can be on a Saturday morning smoking weed in bed with his wife? He makes a lot of pottery and other things. He seems to be a real docile pothead.
He as unlikable as you'll hear Seth Rogen, him talking about his kids thing. He's very condescending of like, yeah, me and my wife, we look at each other every day. We're like, we don't have kids. This is great.
Makes a lot of pottery.
Very condescending. I love Seth Rogen, but when I saw that clip about the kids, I was just like,
because you have kids and
No.
he's judging you
It
by
was the
saying,
condescension. It was like
he thinks his
knew
life
he was
is better
right.
than
He
yours.
knew he was right. Of like, look how happy I am. It's like you haven't seen how happy I am when my daughter walks in the room. Okay, bud, jerk.
Whoa.
I love you, Seth Rogen. I'm sorry. I just
From
didn't
bird
like
to
it.
joke.
Wow. It's like you don't know what it feels like. Just like I know what it feels like not to have kids, huh? You don't know what it feels like too. Wow. Jerk.
All right then.
Billy,
I don't know why I keep throwing jerk.
I don't know why you
I think
do
maybe
either.
I saw a picture of him in a costume.
In the 70s?
Possibly. He was on like Kimmel or something. I thought he just dressed that way, but maybe he was dressed up.
I get the IG ads for the pottery, which does amplify the pun quite a bit that Jeremy made, and he looked fine.
Did you know that Cheech sells gummies?
Yeah, I know, because I keep asking X to stop showing me the
Oh my
ads.
God,
And
X is insistent.
dude,
that.
it's unrelenting. The Cheech and Chong gummy ads.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Are the Cheech and Chong gummy ads unrelenting? The clarification I want to make on what it is that I was talking about,
It's chocolate ice cream.
pistachio, because many of you are writing in, pointing out correctly how much money Michael Jordan makes selling Nike and being a part of the Jordan brand. This has always been fascinating to me. Ever since, being in a room with Jim Brown and having him say that Muhammad Ali didn't go from America's most hated athlete to its most loved until he lost his ability to speak, and then derisively went after Michael Jordan for not standing for anything, and the famous quote attached to Michael Jordan, which is, the reason that I don't take public stances is because Republicans buy shoes too. I understand how you would arrive at the opinion, well, LeBron will never make the money Michael Jordan has made in sneakers. And you'd be right. He's not likely to have a business that makes as much money as sneakers. Michael told you what his plan was. Republicans buy shoes too. LeBron wants a media company. LeBron wants to own teams, plural. LeBron builds schools. LeBron wants to take 5% of every NBA player's contract because he wants to be representing every single NBA player. LeBron is going to get a better ending than Michael got. At the end, Michael's ending was, you're just an employee. Get out of the Washington building. We've used you up for everything you got left. Long after Michael retired, LeBron is getting the coach hired and getting his son $8 million so they can move around the salary cap and just get a little more. I just think he's going to get everything that he wants and that he's got bigger ambitions than just being a basketball head at the end of his career. And I think the next 20 years of LeBron are going to be super interesting, what he can do with that money. You might disagree and tell me he'll never make as much money as Michael Jordan, and you might be right about that. But he's going to do more of what it is that he wants, which is vastly different than what Michael Jordan wanted from the end of his career. It's going to have his fingerprints in a whole lot of stuff because of what he did with the ending of the managing of his career. Michael Jordan got used by Abe Pollin in Washington. It's probably the last time the Wizards were that kind of relevant. Got used and squeezed the last little bit. LeBron spent all that time making the Hollywood relationships that he needs to so that he can have real power post-retirement.
Well, Michael made most of his money because of the equity stake that he had in Nike, because he essentially saved Nike, and Jordan is this massive brand. But he also, during his playing career, only made $94 million, and it's because of those sacrifices and Michael Jordan saving the league when it was in desperate need of stars that LeBron was able to make these career earnings. But now, because of guys like LeBron, Cole Swider may actually, if he ever does catch on, have an opportunity. I think Tyler Johnson made more money than Michael Jordan made in his career, you know?
Tyler Johnson signed for like $50 million, and I'm pretty sure that what I'm about to say is right, that Michael wasn't a billionaire during his playing days. LeBron is. And if you're following the paths of how that stuff gets changed, it might well be that it's just different and not bigger. And I know that many of you, because of the tack that Michael Jordan took, Many of you hate LeBron in a way that very few people hate Michael Jordan. And that's part of the marketing genius, that there are no haters pre-internet to Michael Jordan. That's part of what it is that makes him vastly less polarizing than LeBron. But I can't help but be awed at being able to figure out in your 30s, let me get my friend over here to get a percentage of all of the other players in the NBA and beyond, entertainment, who we can represent, so that the money that I changed in this sport of everyone's quickly is getting $175 million. Give me 3 to 5% of that. I represent you as clutch management. Like, that's just unbelievable, the amount of money he's going to be able to recreate. He's going to be able to treat the NBA the way that Michael treated Nike. No, I've got a percentage of this. I own a team. I represent players. I've got the power and the relationships to broker silver and Hollywood. Adam Silver and gold.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he would probably have to divest from the agency if he owns a team. You can't have an NBA team owning
he doesn't own the agency.
Yeah, that's true.
But this is why I'm amazed by the whole thing.
Little shady.
But this is why it's happening right now. The little shady is happening right now. When you can bring Anthony Davis aboard and have a percentage of what Anthony Davis is making, it's just taking a loophole that no one else has known to take.
But he can't if he doesn't actually own clutch management.
I understand, but if your best friend owns something, don't you also own it if you made your best friend?
I think it just means you could use the bathrooms.
This happened, actually. You guys remember, what was the name of this guy? Billy, you might remember. When Wayne Huizenga, when there was a rule that you can only own 2 sports teams in South Florida, and he wanted a third one. When there was a rule that you can only own 2 professional sports teams in sports, but he wanted to build Disney World around what was Joe Robbie Stadium.
He tried to put the team in his brother's name or something.
Brother-in-law. What was that guy's name? Was it Witt? It was Witt something. It was just a total obvious masquerade. Yes, he tried to move all of that money into the name of his brother-in-law, Witt Hudson?
Harris Witt Hudson.
Yeah, isn't that what clutch management is? Like, I really don't know. I don't know this.
He's not listed. So the take where he's taking a percentage of it. I mean, these are long espoused NBA conspiracy theories because everyone on the board has some sort of tie to LeBron James, but he doesn't actually own it.
Okay, so what do you think's happening there?
Well, I think it's suspicious too, but
I'm not saying
he
it's
can
suspicious.
go ahead and own an NBA team and easily say and refute, I'm not getting anything off of these contracts.
I'm not saying
my friends are, and I am so happy for them.
You are hearing from me suspicion. It's not suspicion. It could.
Well, I heard from you certainty.
I am certain that this is another economic source that exists in and around LeBron James that he can and will at some point profit off of, whether it's financially, because he's got all of the options in the world, whether it's financially or my friends will just benefit from this because, again, he will get everything he wants post-retirement because of how he set this up over the last 5 years. The last 5 years haven't actually been about winning a championship. That he got one in there, great for him. The last
IST.
Forgiveness. Forgot about that one. Forgot about the in-season tournament.
Hey, put up 2 banners.
What's the dollar amount where you go from being Harry Wayne Huizenga to H. Wayne Huizenga? Because, I'm sure growing up he wasn't H. Wayne Huizenga. His friends probably called him Harry, right?
Come here, Harry. What is Witt Hudson's name? Was that also?
It's also Harry.
So, do we even know if that person existed?
It's Harris.
So his was also, was it? So they were both HW something? HW rich person? They both were that? H. Wayne Huizenga?
That is bizarre.
Because they weren't related. They were in-laws, right?
It's not bizarre. It's all a construct that Huizenga was using poorly. He got denied because he was clearly trying to buy a team with his brother-in-law.
I can't log into Sun Sentinel, but the only line that I'm getting is Harris Witt Hudson sure had a good taste in high school girlfriends.
What?
That's Wayne Huizenga's sister.
Imagine baseball with a Julio Franco stance, though. Bring that thing back.
Baseball had a Julio Franco
Bring
stance.
it back, though.
Julio
I'm telling you,
Franco.
we need crazy stances. There's no crazy stances anymore.
Is it just because we're not paying attention or they stopped existing?
Who's got the craziest stance? Who won?
Many of you are writing in now because you can be vultures. You can be buzzards about any time anyone around here says anything that can be objected to. You swoop in and you grab them. So a lot of you are writing in what all the rules are for owning multiple teams. LeBron already has an interest in Fenway sports. Own the Red Sox, the Penguins, involved in racing. And I will just tell you, if you've been watching what Magic Johnson has done post-retirement, Magic Johnson has gotten into now baseball and football ownership, at least in part, because when these rich guys all get together, all they look around and see is other rich white guys, and they need somebody with a name and a lot of money. And so Magic Johnson is largely, often, the only one most available to put a smile on. This is a bunch of white guys walking into a room, and LeBron's about to enter into that territory as well, where he could do some of that. Also, on the buzzard front, Mike Ryan has been arguing with me since I got back about an assortment of different things, and today, for some reason, it was Davante Adams, which used to be a source of unity for me and Mike Ryan. We both argued very vehemently that he wasn't a number one receiver.
Yeah, it was a terrible take.
One of the worst.
In our defense, when we had that take, he was very bad. But he got really good after that.
Well, you're tired of Davante Adams.
Oh, dude, enough with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Like, they're like two star-crossed lovers that can never be together, except they chose to be apart. Ever since Davante Adams got to Vegas, it would appear that he's only been plotting some sort of return with Aaron Rodgers, be it back at the Raiders or with the Jets, and there's just open frustration that from both sides that they haven't been able to get it done. Who can we blame for this? Who? Davante, you had an opportunity. You had a choice. You got a really good offer from Green Bay. You took the bigger offer because it was, quote, your dream to play for the Raiders. And since you got there, you are openly into wired for sound microphones, subverting the Raiders at every turn. And now, back in the news cycle, I want to play with Aaron Rodgers again. Enough with this. You guys had the choice. You both made the choice that you wanted to move on. Maybe the Packers made their choice after it became untenable, but there was a path to staying together. And they're going to force their way into this. Davante Adams will almost assuredly, if they can make the cap situation work, find his way on the New York Jets this season. It's only a matter of time. I'm done hearing about it because it's been 3 years where they've openly campaigned for this.
The part that I disagree with you on and the part that I would like to explore conversationally is the choices we make when we make them, what we think we're choosing versus what ends up happening. Because I don't believe, and this one's always tricky with athletes because of how confident they have to be to survive that ecosystem. But I always believe that the most confident of athletes believe that they are the reason for their success. So if Davante Adams believes that, then he believes he made Aaron Rodgers, at least partially, as good as Aaron Rodgers was. And he feels like he can take that with him. Now, you learn pretty quickly that's not the case. Hell, Randy Moss learned it himself in Oakland. Randy Moss could do it with anybody. Dante Culpepper. Didn't he do it a little bit with Randall Cunningham?
Randy Moss would make anybody that stepped into that Vikings offense prolific.
Okay, so this is the part, though, where I can get entangled. So you've got two positions of extreme confidence. The quarterback, who's going to rightly feel like he's responsible for everything, and the diva glamour position in that sport that comes closest to star power to the quarterback, which is the wide receiver who's now being paid as if he's almost worth as much as the quarterback because Justin Jefferson and C.D. Lamb are not human beings that can be guarded. They can't be covered. Davante Adams probably goes to Oakland thinking, like Randy Moss did in going to Oakland, I'm going to do all of this again. And then it becomes, Garoppolo. It's not what I thought it was. And it got me to thinking about the choice that broke apart LeBron and Kyrie, which I'm assuming Kyrie regretted or learned what it is that he had only because he didn't have it anymore. And so I'm guessing that Davante Adams, when he was with Aaron Rodgers, however it is that people do the math on who's responsible for success on things, I'm guessing that Davante Adams, specifically at that position where you and I are doubting, that guy's not that good. That guy drops the ball an awful lot. He's saying, no, look at me. I'm a number one receiver. I made Aaron Rodgers an MVP, and now I got my money in Oakland, and I do believe that a lot
Vegas.
of times, I'm sorry, yeah.
It's tricky.
Same sort of thing with him and Randy Moss, but thank you. I'm assuming that he didn't realize the choice that he made because you keep doing this thing. Well, he chose the money.
Well, he also chose another quarterback that he had an affinity for, that he had a relationship with in college, in Derek Carr, and he just figured I can recreate that magic. And once it became clear that he made a bad decision, and then once Derek and that interpersonal relationship moved on to another place, he took every opportunity to be really upset with the quarterback production openly, and a source of frustration inside that locker room, doing all the things that a superstar should do publicly to try to force his way out. Apparently, it was close last year with him forcing his way onto the New York Jets, and it probably would have happened if Aaron wasn't hurt. This is what he wants, which is it's a little exhausting. Like, you had the opportunity to stay together. You really did. You just didn't want to. And I understand how you get there, and I understand the ego of athletes and all that. That's all fine and dandy. He can recognize he made a mistake and not do this thing publicly. That is exhausting and just a terrible look for everybody. I would rather the NFL just make a waiver and make this thing happen already than to hear about it for yet another NFL season.
He got 10 games of Aiden O'Connell last year. That will make you miss Aaron Rodgers.
Wasn't he productive with O'Connell?
Yeah,
though? He's been good through all this. That's interesting about it.
He just hasn't been relevant in ways that Aaron made him relevant.
Still good in fantasy.
Still good, consistently week to week, as good. No, consistent in being able to count on this quarterback will force feed me. Keep in mind, a lot of things about the Packers maybe opened up with Aaron not force-feeding the ball to Davante Adams every play. And Packers are doing best out of anybody in that equation. They are doing great right now. They are a sneaky pick to win the conference.
Everyone I have talked to is floored by how good Jordan Love is and is going to be.
And the wide receiver core, too, has come online. You kind of look back on it. Maybe they should have made this move a year earlier.
That last season, the Derek Carr played with Davante Adams. Adams actually had a career high in targets and had 14 touchdowns, which is the second most he's ever had. But last year, playing with O'Connell, after Derek Carr now is no longer the quarterback that he initially went there for, all those issues of still wanting to play with Aaron Rodgers, understandably, kind of come back to the surface. Because when you're getting 180 targets in a season, it's tough to complain.
I'm genuinely confused as to what Jordan Love will be used as a case study for, because you could use him as an argument for, see, that's why you sit a guy. This is the Carson Palmer, John Kitna thing. This is the Aaron Rodgers thing. That's exactly why you sit a guy. But I'm also looking at it as no, this guy clearly needed to play because early on, he stunk. We were wondering if that was a terrible decision, and we were openly spitting into microphones. How could you betray Aaron this way? You need to give him weapons. I think he needed to play more.
Okay, and very easy to say from this position. You would have been benching an MVP. You can't bench an MVP quarterback in order to play Jordan Love.
I still maintain the Packers in that moment, while he was MVP in 2021, I think, Aaron Rodgers, that's a championship window. And yes, you're set up now to compete for championships later on. You owe it to that guy in that title window to give him something to help him win, and they didn't do it.
You have heard me for, I think, probably 10 years quote Chris Bosh because I thought it was hugely insightful. Chris Bosh, who was unusually sensitive, vulnerable, communicative, and just really good at introspection, said, after being here for a while, You do not know what the sacrifices feel like that you're making until you're actually making them. A-Rod did not choose the money to be in last place. He chose the money and thought he was going to go make a last place team great. Davante Adams didn't choose to leave Aaron Rodgers because he thought he was choosing losing over money. He thought he was going to take the winning with him. And to me, you get 10 games of Aiden O'Connell and you're like, okay, blackjack dealer, I'm good. I'm good. Get me out of here. We're not going to compete for a championship. Get me to some place that felt like I used to feel when I got all the targets, all the catches, and I was relevant.
What's interesting is, like, he doesn't have a terrible situation right now in Las Vegas. I mean, I understand you're longing for Aaron Rodgers. We have a load of questions. It's now been a while since we've seen Aaron Rodgers be that guy that force-fed you the ball and made you great. Las Vegas isn't that much worse of a situation than New York because I don't have the same kind of questions for them. They were really feisty at the end of the year. They have a new head coach over there that they very clearly love, and he's got a quarterback in Gardner Minshew that's going to air it out. If you could listen to me, Devontae, maybe try to embrace it. This isn't all that bad.
Two great quarterbacks. Good depth.
Roy,
Minshew will take your team to the promised land. Well, not the promised land.
he
He'll take
won't.
you 3 steps from the promised land.
Their promised land is like, hey, let's be the wild card. Let's
Yeah.
be feisty. Minshew is fully capable of taking
Minshew
you
can
to
do
that
that.
promised
Where will
land.
Minshew take you?
Put it
on the poll.
No, at Le Batard Show. You can't do it that way, Chris. It's a terrible poll question. Where will Minshew take you? Just make it this. Will Minshew take you within 3 acres of the promised land? Roy, where is Stugotz?
Seems like he's bothering the video crew right now. He's force-feeding lines to be added to the YouTube right now. So
Are they all spelled correctly?
probably not.
Because that would be a sign.
He also told me that the reason that Seth Rogen was dressed like that is because he's doing a biopic of Jerry Garcia. Then we
What?
looked it up and we found out he's not. That's Jonah Hill.
Oh. Wow.
But that happens.
That
with
does
them.
happen.
I feel like Gardner Minshew is like the Uber driver that takes you to like right around the barrier that you can get to when streets are blocked off for a big event.
And then even though he can drive you further, just for convenience, he's like, I think you got to get out here.
He'll get you like a block away from the barrier to a big event.
Really?
He won't get you to the big event. You still got to walk to the big event, probably like half a mile, but he'll take you like within a block of the perimeter of the big event.
I hate that move. I am always like, I'm staying. You can drive me.
No, I like to walk. to
I think
find
he's the
person.
opposite. I think he's like, they're telling us to get out of here, but he might be the type of guy that would pose a national security threat just because he's like, no, trust me on this one. We can get around this barricade.
But he still won't get you there. He'll probably get you further away, if anything.
No,
Yeah.
it'll be trust me, I can get us there, and then the car explodes because he couldn't.
But he'll
get
tell you to
there.
get out kindly. He's like, as Secret Service is, converging on the car, he'd be like, I got this. You go ahead.
He'll lie to Secret Service about who you are.
Yeah.
He'll be like, I got someone really important back here. I got to get through there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're in there. He's like, I told you it'd work.
That's a move that worked. When I went to the Stanley Cup final, I was like, my app took a crap, but I took a car service because I was so sure the Panthers were going to win the Stanley Cup that day. Boy, was I wrong. And I was just like scrolling forever. My app just like took a total dump there. And I was in this like SUV, and the driver just goes, a guy like, I have a very important client in the back. And they're like, oh, go ahead.
What's the difference between a car service and just like an Uber or a Lyft?
Money?
Alcohol and TV screens.
Yeah.
And the car service is at your disposal the entire time.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I thought, man, this night can get wild. Who knows where this night ends? And it ended with me looking at my bank account and saying, what have I done?
Do you realize when, I don't know if this happens to you guys, it does happen to me with a good amount of self-awareness that sort of makes me take inventory of things I don't usually take inventory of. When your apps crash or you can't get internet service, do you realize the level of your addiction to technology that that makes you sad about, like, well, I need to correct this.
Yeah.
My itchiness about I can't do anything without this phone that leads me everywhere.
It's a hopeless feeling.
Do you ever have that moment where you've lost Wi-Fi connection and you're like, nothing's working, and then you flip down, you take Wi-Fi off, and your phone like comes back to
Yeah, it
life.
comes back alive.
You
It's
see the life of like the internet uploading. You're like, yes, hourglass fill.
So
What a moment when you see that phone of just like, ooh, now I can read again. Like
Mike, when your app falls apart, does it become illuminated?
Well, that app has fallen apart like once before, so I have since learned, like, if this thing's going to need a power cycle, let me do this. And that one's on me because I don't have the excuse of I was driving and that's how I forgot, because that's happened to me when I've been behind the wheel of a car and then I've got like 17 people, I've got a traffic jam, I'm sweating, and then I have to wait for the phone to power back up because, as far as technologies come, the workaround for everything seems to be what you used to do with your old school Nintendo system.
Just hit it on the
Power
side.
cycle, maybe blow
on
inside
the
of
cartridge,
it,
yeah.
even though they say it doesn't work. Bull, it works.
Speaking of apps, I realized coming back from Tampa that I am a great Wazer. Like, I am good. I don't just think about myself. I think about the people behind me. Because, in Waze, it's like, oh, there's a car pulled up on the shoulder here. Is it still there? That's the easy one of yes or no. If it's not marked and I'm like, oh, there's a hazard right there. Boom, you hit the hazard. What kind of hazard is it? Oh, it's a car on the shoulder. Boom, I click that.
Thank you for your
Nobody
service.
is better at that than I am. But it got me thinking because I'm driving and I'm like, oh, there's a cop up there a mile away. I wonder, do cops, when they're on Waze, are they like putting no to help their brother out?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, hey, my brother's up there. I don't want anyone to see he's there. No, I don't see a cop car there. And then all of a sudden that thing disappears. And he radios them. He's like, hey, you were on Waze. I just cleared you. Beep, beep, over.
Lying. So they're working together.
I mean, it's
Cops lying?
If I was
When
a
would they do
cop,
that?
I mean, if you're a cop, you hate Waze. It's like I got this beautiful
they're
spot
telling on
behind
me.
this bush, and now all of a sudden every car knows I'm here.
I
I would
think-
hope that my brothers in arms are like,
No.
I got you, brother.
I think if a cop is using Waze and it says there's a cop in the area, he always has to hit yes because he's a cop in the area. It's like the thing if like you're undercover and you say, "Are you a cop?" You are obligated to by law say, "Yes, I'm a cop." That's how it works.
Put it on the poll, please. Do cops hate Waze?
Oh, I love Waze, man. If it's like, ooh, there's an object in the middle of the road in a quarter of a mile, that next quarter of a mile, I'm like, first one to find it wins. Me and my wife are like, where is it? Where is it? Oh, that little piece of tire right there. I found it. Still there. Boom. Nothing feels better than doing. It's like being on a jury. You just feel like you are doing your part.
Have you been on a jury?
No, I want to. I told my
It's
wife
terrible.
that. I want jury duty.
Why?
You can take mine.
How do I request it?
Take mine,
I want
please.
like a month-long trial. No, you don't. I want to be an important person. I want to be the lead jury. What's the person, like the lead person called?
foreman?
I want to be the foreman
Yeah.
or floorman. All right.
Foreman.
All right. I want to be that guy. I feel like if I was on a jury, they would keep me. They would look at me and just be like, and I would lie because I feel like if I said this job,
Okay, stop.
if I said this job, they would be like, get him out of here. Like that's you're in the public.
Why do you think
have
that is?
Right? I mean, because
Because we're in the public?
Because if you have a platform, I feel like they would just be like, we don't want that noise. I would just be like, I don't have a job. I'm fully committed to being here.
I don't think you. I mean, I don't know if that's a crime or not, but it sounds like a crime. I don't think you could just go to jury duty and start lying.
Well,
about
most people
things.
lie for the other way. They're like, how could I get out of this? I'm trying to lie to get in it.
Well, the problem with this, Chris, many problems, but the main problem with it is that, the lawyers for each side are trying to pick people that they think will be dependable. So if you're just acting completely irrationally like a wild card, neither side will think this is someone that will work out for me.
Billy
They
boy.
won't know where you're going to go.
I'll be cool as a cucumber.
As a what?
Cool as a cucumber.
How are you
Okay.
going to do? What is your move? What do you say?
Just lean back with
How do you
my
get
arm on the
selected? Because I'm in a situation where I have been I've been sent a jury summons for the third time in a year. And I thought, this is impossible. I even served on a jury. It's impossible. I got hit by the big three. I got civil, I got criminal, and now I have federal. So, none of them offset each other. So all of them are still good. So I keep getting hit with you need
That's
to come.
bad luck.
It's terrible
Yeah,
luck.
you're not
And-
resetting the general timeline.
Well, here's the thing is that this time I'm going to be out of town, but I can't get anyone on the phone to explain to them I'm going to be out of town. So I had to do an online thing, and I'm trying to click I'm not even trying to entirely get out of it. Let's just postpone it a month so I should be good. And I can't find anyone to talk to. So this is a problem because this is in a couple weeks. So I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it. And I don't think that if I could get a substitute in Chris, I would love for Chris to go and be my substitute in this situation. But it doesn't seem like it's possible.
I realized because I'm a junior that between the time that I was eligible for jury duty and the time that I moved out, all the jury summons came in as Roy Bellamy, so I didn't know if it was me or my father. So I was like, hey, it's my dad. I have to go to these things.
So
Go
what
ahead,
do you-
Dad.
what's your plan, Chris, when you get there? Sorry, Roy, I thought that you were done.
No,
Yeah, I'm done.
My plan is just I'm into it. I'm into the process.
No, but what are you going to say when they ask you questions?
Well,
What
I think
do
you want to
say?
give if you want to give off a combination of I mean business and I'm going to take this serious and you're not too into it. So I'll have like my body language will give off relax, but my eyes will give laser focus. So I'm kind of like playing with my beard. You want to come off a little sexy. You just kind of lean back, but my eyes don't leave the attorney. Like I am locked in.
Which
Is this you
one?
is this you coming off a little sexy?
Which
yeah, You
side?
lean back,
I don't think it's working.
Which side are you
play
looking
with
at?
the beard a little bit.
Defense
Whoever's
or-
talking. Like I'm moving. I'm side to side. I'm like ping pong. Whoever's talking. Who needs
I
me?
knew the
Who
moment.
needs me?
I knew the moment that I was getting dismissed
I work in a
the
who
last
needs me,
time.
for
I
sure.
knew exactly what I did to get dismissed. It was because they were going around and we were talking about so this was not criminal. This was like civil or whatever. So it was like a lawsuit. And this was a batch of I don't know, 80 or 100 potential jurors. It was huge. Normally it's like 12 of us and they pick 6. So your odds aren't that good. This was like an all-day affair and there's 80 people and they had to whittle it down to 12. And I didn't survive I guess I survived the first 2 cuts, so I'm still in there and I know oh, this isn't going to go well. And then you have the people I'm really excited. It was the Chris Cody's of the group. I really want to do this. I'm really eager to do this.
The Whittinghams.
Yeah, but they were also saying things that if I could give them advice, you're not saying things that are going to get you selected. You're being too forthright here.
I object.
You're giving off the wild card vibe. You're very excitable and you really want to be part of this, but you're also giving off unreliable here. And I don't think that they're going to select you because you're giving them too much wiggle room. They need to know where you're going to stand before they select you. So it got to me.
Overruled.
And what was going on was it was it was a case where it was I think it was an insurance claim or something was going on, right? And there wasn't an actual witness to the claim, but they were bringing in witnesses that were paid witnesses that were experts on whatever the field was. So then they're like, does anyone have any questions? And the question that I asked was,
Sustained.
well, I mean, if this person is getting paid and they're a witness, wouldn't you just pay a witness to come in that's going to say exactly what you want them to say and present your case?
I'm for sale.
It's their opinion. It's not an actual fact. They're not actual witnesses. And then I saw the defense attorney kind of perk up and look at the other defense attorney, and they were like, that might be our guy. And then I saw the plaintiff, or whatever the words are, look at me, and they're like, that is not our guy. And I said, I think that did it. I think that did, because then the judge is like, yes, that could be one way to look at it, but not necessarily the case. And I was like, I'll just stop talking now.
I'll see myself out.
I think I should honestly just got up at that moment, I'm good.
You should do the thing that you
See
do
you
on the
later.
show, I'll leave.
I know we're good. Penalty box? And they're like, what the fuck is a penalty box?
Can I approach the bench?
You should please say that. Ask the judge to approach the bench.
The branch.
Yeah, that's the one.
Damn it.
Absolutely.
Caught that.
Chris Cody, why is it that you spoke there with all of your legal terms as both the attorney and the judge, not a juror?
You want to just show them that you know the
Well,
way it
didn't
works.
you used to work at a law office? Do you ever tell them that? Or you keep that away because you don't want them thinking you're too smart because you're almost a lawyer?
Keep that bad boy in your back
Yeah, I'm not
pocket
gonna
because
say
that can
that.
get you out when you don't want to be
Right.
there.
Chris Cody appearing to be too smart, you think
Yeah.
is a way to go?
Yes. Let me tell you something. Jury polls, not the best of the best, exactly.
Billy, you said
flourish.
something during the segment. You said you couldn't get anybody on the phone. Can you for anything? I'm dead serious about this. You've heard me lament before the way that customer service has collapsed all over the place just because we're now addicted to the technology and human beings don't have to answer the phone. But can you guys get anybody on the phone for anything?
I finally was able to get someone on the phone. You know what he told me? Oh, you got to do that online. And then he just gave me a website to go to do it. I'm like,
Every company has their answering machine before they get you to someone. If you know you can do this online, hey, you big dum-dum, you go to blah and you can do all of this. But if you'd like to talk to someone, sit there and press 0.
The number of times, I don't need to tell you, that I'm ordering food and I'm talking to somebody and they're like, can't take your order this way. I'm like, what do you mean? You got to do it by phone.
That one's on you. I mean, what are you doing?
I don't want to do it by phone.
You want to do the old school? Can I get the orange chicken, please?
Yes.
With the white rice.
Yes. Yes.
You can do it on an app.
I don't want to do it that way.
Well, you can save some money doing it that way.
I don't want to do it that way.
Saving money Dan's way.
I'm not looking to save money. I'm looking to save time.
Well, you're just a boomer at that point.
He's the co-host of Pod Save America, the host of Pod Save the World. He's part of the Crooked Media Empire. He co-founded it. He's speaking to us from Milwaukee, where he's covering the Republican National Convention this week. It seems a little bit crazy. He also did a South Beach session that you can still find from June of 2023 that I enjoyed. Tommy Vietor is with us. Thank you for joining us, and I will ask, I guess, a complicated and simple question off the bat. How are you?
Hey, Dan, it's good to see you. Yeah, look, I think we all need this this coked up news cycle to just chill out a bit, relax. Everyone stop making news. We got Joe Biden getting COVID. We got an assassination attempt. We have the worst debate performance in 2 weeks. So it's just, it's been a whirlwind couple of weeks. And I don't know, who knows when it's slowing down.
Whirlwind that feels like a whirl week because everything is moving very quickly. And one of the speakers tonight is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, apparently. Who knew?
What are we doing?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea.
Okay, well, tell me what it's like there. We sent someone out there and they couldn't get close to anybody. There was we were just trying to do some man on the street stuff that would be funny, and the restrictions were so large that we couldn't get close to doing anything that resembled media.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a million reasons why, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump on Saturday was a horrible thing. I mean, on just a human level, it's like one of the most frightening things I've ever seen. I don't care how much you dislike your political opponent, but violence is not justified, in part because violence tends to lead to more violence. And once you start, it's very hard to stop. But also just, for people in politics, it just creates more and more and more distance between the people who represent us and the people who are just citizens. And that's true for the media. It's true for folks like, me walking around Milwaukee today. So yeah, it's completely locked down. We're going to go over to the site today, try to just talk to people on the street, just kind of get a sense of why they're there, what's going on, how people feel in this moment. But, mostly the theme, the feeling coming out of the RNC so far is a convention full of people who think the election is over, basically, and that they've already won.
How do you think the coverage and response has been handled to the assassination attempt?
I mean, early on, it was pretty irresponsible. Donald Trump's vice presidential selection, J.D. Vance, immediately tweeted that this shooting was the result of Joe Biden's rhetoric. There was absolutely no evidence of that then. There's no evidence of that now. The more we learn about this person whose name I'm not going to say, is that he was looking for Googling images of lots of political figures, Biden, Trump, Christopher Wray, the former FBI director, the Princess of Wales. So he seems like a disturbed person who told a bunch of his gamer friends he was going to do something big on the 14th. He had depression. So who knows? We're figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, it's horrifying. It's horrifying, the whole thing.
Let me make a little lighter the subject matter that we're talking about by just putting in front of you a couple of things and asking for you to tell me which is the funnier of these two things. The first thing I'm going to show you is Jim Justice of West Virginia, the politician who the words aren't funny, but the pan out comedically afterward feels like something out of Parks and Rec. Let's go ahead and play that first for Tommy Vietor.
Bottom line to every single thing that's going on in this great country today is one thing. We become totally unhinged if Donald Trump is not elected in November.
It's just so good. It's so good. And I ask you if it's better than this reaction from Alec Baldwin in the middle of all the Alec Baldwin stuff that has him going theatrical with body language work.
I really appreciated the acting that he did on Saturday Night Live, and I really appreciate his politics.
You told one of the witnesses who disagreed with you during an interview that you thought Mr. Baldwin was a sucker.
I do not recall saying that.
All right, I guess
I love this country.
I guess we have your choice. I guess you like the second one better than the first one.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that every every political speech should have just a dog chilling next to you, riding shotgun. That's the wants to be the governor of West Virginia running for Senate. He's like wildly popular in part because of this big sweet, chunky bulldog. I think the dog's name is Baby Dog, that he brings everywhere. And it's like, I don't know, he's basically Carrot Top for politics. He's doing prop comedy there. I totally support it. But yeah, I mean, that moment with Baldwin is incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Tommy, vibes can be morphed by social media and television coverage. Right now, vibes really bad around the Democratic Party, while vibes are really good around the Republican Party. But ratings are down for the RNC about 20%. And we made this mistake with Hillary where we thought social media was actually reality, and we didn't see the actual election results coming. Now, X is owned by a massive donor and endorser of Donald Trump. How much of this really solid momentum for the Republican Party is actually just constructed by those things around us?
That's such a good question and such a good point. I do think it's easy for those of us who are really plugged into social media or, watch the news or politics closely to feel like things are constantly changing, when I think the reality is the biggest disconnect in this country is between people who are kind of politically obsessed and people who just don't pay any attention. They don't watch the news. They don't care about politics. They barely know who the vice president is. And that's not because they're bad people or they're ill-informed. It's because they got 3 kids and they're trying to get to soccer practice and they're trying to pay the bills, right? They're just living their lives. So I do think that social media and the algorithms can create this bubble of distortion that can change how people feel. I also think that 4 months is a lifetime in politics. Like, I think when the Access Hollywood video came out in 2016, people like me were like, oh, this campaign is over. There's no way Trump can recover from this. And then he did. So we'll see what happens between now and November. A lot of things could change.
There was an article I read that referred to what's going on in certain social media circles as the Zinternet. And I've seen firsthand Republican operatives kind of shaping narratives with influencers and lifestyle accounts, both on the local and national level. And I'm wondering, are these people that are having a go in the internet is different than it was several years ago? There's a lot of pro-Trump sentiment. Can you actually count on the Zinternet to be involved in politics when their whole thing is not really, everything's a joke, nothing really matters, it's all social currency?
That's another really good question. I mean, I saw a tweet yesterday that said that the toilets at the RNC look like a mass grave for Zins. They're just like full to the brim with little pouches everywhere. So yeah, the internet is strong and it's happening IRL. I do think the Trump campaign has done something very smart. They have a strategy which is reaching out to young men of all colors, Black, Latino, everybody, white, sort of the Barstool Sports crowd. And they're doing that through a really smart, deliberate way. He's going to MMA fights and walking in with Dana White. He's going on, he's hanging out with Jake and Logan Paul. He's doing the Nelk Boys podcast, right? So he's reaching those young men who, frankly, in a lot of cases, especially young Black men, the Democratic Party has taken their vote for granted a lot of times and not spent enough time trying to persuade them or actually deliver for them and prove to them that we've earned their vote. And they're trying to peel off some of those young men. So I think the question is always, what are you persuading people? Are they actually going to turn out, or are they just posting about how the photo of Trump, holding up his fist after getting shot was cool and iconic and tough? I don't like Donald Trump. I'll be the first one to admit that having the political instinct after getting shot in the ear to stand up and raise your fist is like a feral political genius. There's no other way to describe it.
No, there is another way to describe it. Desperation to stay out of prison, I would say. It's like, right. I would say that I could describe it that way. Yes.
That's true, Dan.
We will get to that in a second, but Chris, you know where we are right now. I've never seen this happen before in our show. This is a heat check. We need to get out of the way and get Mike Ryan the ball.
He's gotten 2 That's a Great Questions in a row.
Can he get 3?
It's
never happened.
It's never been done.
It's never happened. I haven't heard it in the media. I haven't heard it around here. Can you get 3 straight? That's a great question.
Don't just give it away here either.
Don't give it
Make
away.
Him earn it.
Make him earn it. Play some defense.
I wanted to walk away from the table with my winnings. I was feeling good about myself. I'll try. Here's the heat check. Okay. Next week is the DNC, right? So it stands to reason if a decision is made on whether or not Joe Biden will indeed be the candidate on the ballot, it has to happen before the DNC, right? They can't just come around after, announce that he's a nominee. It'd be too late. at that point. So if something happens with Joe Biden and this race, will it happen in the next couple of days?
Yeah, that question was adequate. I think
It's fair. It's fair. It wasn't amazing.
It wasn't amazing, though. It wasn't amazing.
that was the dumbest question.
I wanted to ask you about getting Bam Adebayo some help, like maybe some shooters around the side.
Listen, I'm a Celtics fan, so I'm just walking on air right now. The problem right now is that this is one person decision, and it's Joe Biden's. And so there's all these reports today that leaders in the Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, senators, members of Congress have gone to him and said, sir, we're seeing all these polls. Not only are you going to lose, but we could get wiped out in these Senate races and the House. That's not how you want your legacy to go down. I think you have to imagine yourself in Joe Biden's shoes. He's 81 years old. He has wanted this job his entire life. He got it. He thinks he's doing a good job. And now people are essentially trying to like take the keys away from him. And I think he probably feels like not only is that unfair on some level, but that like a piece of him is dying. You know, like this was your life's purpose and you can no longer do it. Now, I have empathy for that. But at the end of the day, we're all citizens. He's just another one, right? And so I don't care more about his feelings and loyalty than I do to the future of the country. And I'm deeply worried about our ability to win if Joe Biden's the nominee.
If you want no bullshit conversation on politics and news without boring you to death, I would suggest that you listen and subscribe to Pod Save the World. New episodes every Wednesday, and Pod Save America. New episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays, wherever it is that you get your podcast. On your way out the door, do you have any feeling, I don't know how successful you are at these things, or what your history looks like on being able to predict stuff 4 months out. But given where we presently are, which I imagine looks unprecedented to you from every angle, because I don't understand how we've gotten to the extremities of where it is that we've gotten to, where both sides are looking at the other side and seeing existential fear for freedom, democracy, and America. You think what's going to happen here over the next 4 months?
So, Dan, I suck at predicting. Your listeners should fade me if you are into gambling. I feel like the momentum is moving towards Joe Biden not being the nominee. I would put it at like 70%. I think that when there's just a critical mass of Democratic members coming out and saying you have to go, it's hard to... It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The question then is who comes next? Odds are it's Kamala Harris, but the Democratic Party could say, okay, let's try to have sort of an open mini convention. Unfortunately, then you run into a bunch of challenges with deadlines that involve like literal, like getting enough signatures written down to get names on ballots. So that will be a compressed kind of crazy period of time. Right now, I think this is Donald Trump's election to lose. He's winning in every swing state in a poll that came out yesterday. But a new candidate could completely upend things. And there's some polling that suggests that almost every alternative would do better against Donald Trump than Joe Biden would right now, just because of concerns about his age. So I suck at predicting. I ducked your question, but right now it looks like Trump would win.
Tommy, thank you for being on with us. Appreciate the insight.
Thank you, guys.
So, Mike, I hate to break this to you, but your adequate question actually may have turned out to be a bad question because the DNC is not next week. It's in August.
That's totally fair. I've had a weird relationship with space and time over the last few days
College
and weeks.
Football 25?
Well, also mentally, I am in week 4 of the college football season. I'm in like light jacket weather at this point. There was one day where I took in 3 different states in the same day, which was a personal record for me. I've been all over this great land over the last few days, and it's all kind of catching up with
Next week to you is like mid-October.
Yeah, and like in the movies, I'm being transported to like the late 90s. So like I'm just all over the place. And also I'm fighting what is a general pushback on being involved in the public domain when it comes to politics. So this show will kind of force it, and I have to realize I have to be publicly responsible. But my first notion after the horrible acts of the last weekend were I don't have the stomach for this anymore. I want to check out on all of it. The temperature on this is just way too high. And like Tommy said, like once you start going down this road of violence, which started with January 6th and then the attack on the Pelosi's, and now hopefully it's a crescendo on the attempt on Donald Trump's life, it just seems as though we're on a very dangerous track, and I just kind of want to opt out of it.
It doesn't seem like we're on a very dangerous track.
It seems like we're on a more dangerous path somehow, which is really, really terrifying to me.
We are just beginning where the terror starts, because I think we've escalated into what are unprecedented times. The last thing Tommy Vietor just said is a sentence that at any time in my life would have been unfathomable, when he says it looks like Trump will win, with the litany of things that are on that side of the ledger. And once upon a time, Howard Dean ruined a presidential campaign for this position by being unpresidential with a sound.
Not only are we going to New Hampshire, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. We're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
I have a theory as to why things are so bad, because if you look at the things that matter historically, the economy, unemployment rates, hell, even the stock market, or even the midterm elections, in which we were all told and all convinced that a red wave was coming, and then Joe Biden, as an incumbent, had probably the greatest midterm cycle of any politician. It's like, why is he losing so badly if he has all these things that actually matter? And what I got down to is the Democratic Party won pretty much on a platform of that cross for me on this dais right now is not normal. The last 4 years have not been normal. Not you, Billy. I'm saying I'm pointing to Donald Trump. And
a vote for Biden is just a vote for I will not vote for that.
Yeah, like not Trump. Essentially won by record numbers and had the highest point total of all time, because the American public was exhausted by the craziness of those 4 years. So here's my theory as to why things around Joe Biden are so bad while everything that actually matters is supposed to be good. It's because when you campaign and you champion that you are the party of normalcy, you can't ignore the deficiencies that are deteriorating right before our eyes right now. If you keep trudging along with this candidate, you yourself are suspending reality in failing to acknowledge it. So when you start being a party that is not acting normally, that is not subscribing to this is a qualified candidate that represents the best of us, and it is a polar opposite of what we see there, when by comparison on this debate you make a felon, someone who is not really in touch with reality, seem that much more with it than you are in deep trouble.
There are a number of things here, okay, and I will not pretend to be any kind of political expert. I am just a citizen like everyone else here who's scared, and I think we can all agree that we're just scared of everything that's happening everywhere. But it is an act of marketing and mythology and miracle that a bullet would turn a felon into a martyr without killing him. And that where we are, where it regards Trump and Biden, is, I believe, whoever would be in charge right now, because of the way big money has contaminated everything and everyone, Biden included, because his climate is terrible when you start talking about the oil money, too. Big money has contaminated all of it, that I believe the voting public, whoever's in charge right now, is angry and working in an economy that makes everyone else have the money more than ever except for them. And so whoever's in charge when that happens, when gas prices are so high that you're angry and upset because you can't afford $6 a gallon, whoever's in charge of that is the one that's going to get the wrath. I just simply can't believe, and I've been asking this for 4 years, how did it get so bad that these are our best options? Like, there
Dan,
are no good options.
But you're espousing something that the Republican Party is counting on. You just said that, like, people are frustrated because the wealthy are getting wealthier. Look at the numbers. Look at what one party will do with wealth. Look at the unemployment numbers right now. Job numbers are incredible. The economy is actually working. Just because you can't get a $5 footlong anymore doesn't mean that. But it can just be that simple. And if you see the media coverage, in which we are absolutely a contributor to, yes, the reaction to Biden and him not having his mental faculties the way that we're used to seeing is outweighed. Donald Trump was seemingly falling asleep multiple times now at the RNC, and it does not matter. If it happened to Biden, it would matter. And it's all because the Democratic Party has always been the party of normalcy when it's juxtaposed by Donald Trump. When you seem as crazy and as detached, you then amplify the normalcy that seems to be there with people that have already made him a martyr, and the bullet just signified that he is actually potentially one because you have a bandage on his ear to prove it. He already made himself a political martyr before the assassination attempt.
When you talk about political frustrations generally when it comes to the rich getting richer, in the United States, we normally have about 50-year shifts in each direction economically. We go to the left for about 50 years, then we shift to the right for about 50 years. And since Ronald Reagan, our country has been shifting generally further and further and further to the right. Just because we elected a black president doesn't mean that we were shifting to the left. Obama's economics himself, Biden's economics, are actually further to the right than the left-leaning presidents were earlier in the 19th century. You now look at a time where you feel that level of frustration. In a lot of ways, the Democrats should have been sort of talking about an even further shift to the left than what they're doing in this standard of normalcy, because you have things like inflation going the way that they are. You have things like these companies that we see sort of running everything and the money within politics. That is where the frustration could be alleviated. And ordinarily, that's what would happen. But because of this extreme last-second move into a right that favors authoritarianism, the left is seemingly picking up the pieces in comparison.
I don't understand, I really don't, how it is that I'm someone who vastly underestimated all of this stuff. So the extremities could be so extreme that your choices are between someone who appears to be dying and someone who can't be killed. Like, it's not too much to ask the incumbent to be able to coherently finish thoughts. It's not too big an ask. And for all of this stuff that we're discussing, that we can discuss all of the issues, sometimes whether it's Howard Dean and a sound that he makes, or it's a debate where you see the president can't finish a thought, it can come down to the one thing. Like, I don't trust that to be presidential. I don't trust that. Do you know how? I did not know. This is how amateur I am with some things as they regard politics. I did not know of a hypothetical situation that I could put in front of you that would involve an incumbent running for office and us pretty much being uniform and like, man, they got to get Biden out of there. They got to get Biden out of there, even though it's not about the job that he's done. It's just like, yeah, can't finish thoughts and stumbles around. Too old. Like, did you guys know that there would be did you guys create the hypothetical scenario before this one where you would knock out an incumbent toward the end of the race just because he's old? Get him out of there.
That's sort of my frustration with the mentality in general. I would implore people, when you think about this, ultimately, you're not voting for an individual. You're voting for an administration. You're voting for everybody that's in it, and you've seen what the Biden administration has done. I, as someone that's further, like, personally, you all know it. You've heard me talk about it. I'm further left. I'd like Biden to be doing more progressive things than he's done. I can sort of have attacks on their administration from that angle. But from someone who might be down the middle, who's trying to decide, and you're frustrated by Biden being old, just think about the administration that you're voting for. Think about, in any scenario, you want something to get done, whether it's from the left or from the right. Who do you want your opposition to be? Who do you think will work with you? Who do you think will actually put you in a position to be able to get something done that you want. I know for me, like 100 times out of 100, that's going to be Joe Biden.
I like this guy. How'd you poop in 3 states on the same day? Was it like a Four Corners Monument thing, or like you just had the runs that day?
So I could have, if I wanted to, if the flight wasn't so early, I could have pulled off 4
How?
states in one day. So here's what it was. I left from Florida.
One.
And I got to Arizona. My flight had been
2.
canceled. So I'm hanging
Cancel
around
culture.
I'm hanging around the airport in Arizona for longer than I planned to be. Took a in Arizona. Then I get a flight to Nevada, to Reno, Nevada, and I get to the hotel that is right on the border on California. So I took a shit once I landed in Nevada, and then to close the night, tummy was a little uncomfortable, took a shit in California, which was across the street from Nevada. It could have been 4. I could have shit in 4 states.
That's a great platform. I've been getting a version of this for a very long time, more than the last 4 years. Dan still doesn't get, this is someone writing in here on YouTube, Dan still doesn't get that they were the first to go super political and lost half of his fans. I gave it like 6 months because I love the sports part, but when it was constantly politics down your throat, it quit being fun. And you felt like you were being lectured too.
Wait, where'd you get that?
YouTube.
You got that from someone actively watching our show while they're saying how we lost half our audience and aren't watching the show?
Okay, this is why you sound defensive.
No. I sound defensive because I know the numbers. I know that we didn't lose half our audience, and it just feels like a wild criticism when someone's literally watching on a platform where you can't argue that you're not watching anymore.
The thing about the risking of losing fans that the criticism neglects is that it was a conscious choice. I didn't do, and we didn't do, everything it is we did to be told or governed by anybody else what to talk about. Anyone who has been around here behind the scenes, as it sounded like I'm going a little bit crazy over the last 4 years for a variety of reasons that don't have to do with that, is I understood some of the sacrifice we were making when we were making it, some of it, not all of it. And one of the choices that everyone around here has heard me say is I wanted these microphones to be free right now, as Morning Joe can't do its show on Monday, or The Daily Show can't do their show on Monday, or Jon Stewart, someone as powerful as Jon Stewart, can't do the stuff he was doing for Apple because the corporations are in charge. I understand if and why you object to this stuff. I also understand why you want it to be sports and the escape. I like that too sometimes. But after a presidential assassination attempt, or a former presidential assassination attempt, I don't actually know. You guys tell me, because I really don't know about the question that I'm asking. How many of the sports shows addressed what happened with Trump? I don't know the answer to what it is I'm asking. I've been traveling. I'm behind. I feel bad that I don't know a lot of what's going on because you fall behind very quickly these days. But I just don't want to sit out the next 4 or 5 months, no matter how it is that they end up going, because I can't talk about stuff. It's the choice we made. The choice we made had something to do with Chris Cody, but what started to fray everything before Chris Cody was the limitations on speech because of a corporate policy that now results in all the walls falling down. So Dana White is endorsing Donald Trump for 5 minutes on McAfee.
I didn't really pay attention to the sports media landscape outside of what was aggregated, and I saw what Dana White had to say there. And also, I'm existing on a show in which a couple minutes before I went into probably my most what could be considered political segment in several months. I said over the weekend, I wondered aloud if I should just stop doing this altogether. And I think that that's superhuman to wonder if we should be doing this, especially now when, gotta be real, vibes are real bad for at least the side that I'm pulling for, which is not even a candidate, really. I'm constantly telling my phone to stop texting me because I'm a registered Republican still. I feel sometimes a duty to say, hey, this isn't normal. And some people view that as an attack. It's why today and even now I'm trying to be so careful with how I'm saying something. I don't want to have this Sean Strickland redux in which I appear unhinged. I don't want to appear unhinged like I did when Greg Cody tried to ruin my Stanley Cup final. I understand now in this climate, especially as violence is spiking, that the need, even when I'm saying something that most in the audience might find disagreeable, that there is such an underlined importance in being calm and seeing like you don't actually feel super emotional about this. It's hard to argue that you're being rational about something when you sound emotional.
Oh, I would go a step further on that. The entirety of my career, one of the greatest difficulties I have had in just being a communicator is that the way that I deliver things can be strident and obnoxious and arrogant, makes me unlikable, and in the delivery of things that might otherwise be well thought out, get drowned out in people not liking how it is that I'm delivering whatever the message is. I will tell you that since the death of my brother, I am feeling things more deeply on both ends, high end and low end. So I may, over the next 4 months, be even more guilty of this, given the general fear in the climate, because I do believe that what is presently happening is that there are a lot of people in the American voting public who are a combination of scared and angry. And so that combination of things often leads to violence. And so things are about to escalate here. I will remind you, if you've been with us through the 3.5 years, okay, because the day after we left ESPN, the insurrection happened. And I was paying, in a panic, $1,000 a day for a security guard because things had escalated to the point. Billy's still shocked by that.
That's a great racket by that security guard because, like, respectfully, I don't think the target after the Capitol was the Dan Le Batard Show studio.
Well,
understood respectfully.
Understood, and also respectfully, there were 2 people in the studio at the time. Like, everybody was
$1,000. What were you paying an hour? Like 3-hour day. It's crazy.
No, we would have done things differently back then, but everything felt like super heightened, and that was because we had seen something that we'd never seen. And I remember how shocking it was. You did it not too long ago with the Howard Dean clip. Like, remember when this was a thing that would take a candidate just totally out of the race?
Remember the tan suit?
I remember what our reaction.
The tan suit.
I remember what our reaction was to January 6th, and it wasn't a normal one. Society kind of paused in that moment, and we all kind of looked at each other and said, what can be done about this? And things went away and kind of felt normal for a little bit. And I said this on Monday, what kind of scared me about everything, what scared me most was the gun violence, once again, in what is supposed to be a really secure location with a lot of good guys with guns, and yet a bad guy with a gun almost killed the president. After that, after all that happened, everyone felt normal. What was happened in the RNC feels like super normal. You have to remind yourself that there are these visible cues, like people have bandages on their ear in a support of Donald Trump because someone tried to take his life, and this is not normal. Like, would it have felt normal if the bullet was closer? The world would have stopped. I was in Tahoe at the time, and I was at a casino, and I was passing by the sports book, and there were games still going on. And I was like, why are there games going on? Like, there was a politically motivated assassination attempt on the former president and the leading candidate for president in this cycle. This should not feel normal. I don't want to do the show anymore was one of my thoughts that was going by my head at the time. And yet here I am trying to make it through the day as I normally could. And I can't. I have to remind myself that it isn't normal and that I have to do what I can. But I also realize the need to do it in a different manner now.
For those of you who are saying that we didn't recognize where fans would be lost, because there have been fans lost, but I would make the argument that standing for something in this particular climate has also made us gain fans and gain the strength of fans that we already have. But I totally understand your objection if that's not what you want from a sports show. I hope you understand my objection that at 55 years old, I'm not going to spend all my time talking about Davante Adams. I'm just not going to do that anymore.
But if he goes to New York.
If he goes to the Jets, though, I'm doing a whole show.
Completely different. That changes everything.
That's where I
look.
Eubank.
Welcome me back to the
teams
dialogue
up
when
with
that
Aaron
happens.
Rodgers, if he teams up and
Just
brings
do it
Aaron
already.
Rodgers back,
Bakhtiari will find a way over there. He always
Make the
does.
decision.
I saw Randall Cobb's on the SEC network now.
Oh.
You remember when he was a quarterback? He was an NCAA football hack.
Oh, the best.
Can you guys tell me, please, how Tony's show went last night? It's not Tony Tonight. It's not The Tonight Show. It was Tony 2. How long did it go?
Do we have there is a clip. I was in it. It was my first ever Tony show, and I enjoyed my time there. But I also needed to get back because I had a week 3 marquee matchup against Florida State that Memphis had to win. Mario Anderson is the leading candidate for Heisman right now. Wow. It was great. Wonderful moment. Great night. Go Tigers, go. But I really enjoyed my time on the show. And the thing that I enjoyed most was the thing that was like, okay, this is a corporate partner responsibility. We have to do this best ball draft. And I was more excited to play the video games. And then everything after the best ball draft paled by comparison. I really liked that way. I opted out of fantasy football last season, and I just played DFS and whatnot. I don't know if you're familiar with the format of best ball, but it might be the only way to get Dan to play fantasy sports in that you do your draft. That's the last time you have to worry about your team at all. You don't have to start guys. You don't have to bench guys. You don't have to worry about it. Your team after that draft is your team forever. You don't have to worry about, oh, this guy's a boomer bust. I don't want to have that week-to-week decision. No, it'll just take the best points from your team, and that's your team that you rock with the entire year. I am now only doing fantasy that way.
What is the clip that we have from last night that you want us to play?
So there's a lot of guys. What's so great about the Tony shows is a lot of our family over here, this extended universe of characters that does so much, and it's not said enough, all the stuff that they do on this show to help make it good. It's an opportunity for them to become characters within our universe. So you're, in many respects, you're being introduced to some of these people, but also in many respects, they are also getting an opportunity to see how hard this thing actually is. Talking into a microphone, getting buy-in, having to worry about multiple things at one time while the content has to keep moving. So we have an example of someone trying to keep the content moving and the machine not really responding in kind.
Yeah, and I think if you zoom in, he's actually wearing the same glasses in the picture.
I was about to take
You like that, Mally?
It's not that sneaky at this point.
I like that.
The guy was in the NFC Championship game.
Really good player.
Just
good
pick.
How do the Packers do it?
Taylor?
They get lucky.
Famous Jet fan?
What happened there? What?
Nothing. You have nothing to say?
I have nothing on the Packers. Ethan just threw a dead fish to the group. How do the Packers do it?
How do they do it? I mean, what kind of audio editor for this show would have to be a big enough egomaniac to weasel their way onto the air without the audience wanting it?
What is happening there? What is the matter
in Green
with
Bay?
The amount of microphones that we're giving up around here? How do they do it?
Look, it was amazing. All these people get camera time. They all have their patches that go under their eyes to make their eyes look good. I found 8 of those on top of this table. You people are like animals. Act like you've been there before.
One of the amazing things to happen after the breakup of the Brady-Belichick relationship, and there are many, and it really is an amazing thing, that universally one of, if not the best coach in the history of sports, not just that sport, but sports, unwanted this year by any team that wants a leader, and therefore graduating for the moment to a bandage of a broadcasting career. How many places is Belichick going to work? I think, but do not know, when people get tired of me talking about the sports media stuff, that they may not know that one of the things at the crux of Stephen A. Smith wanting as much or more money than Pat McAfee is that Pat McAfee has a contract that pays him X, but also pays for Aaron Rodgers, Belichick, Saban. Stephen A. doesn't have that. Not even
help pays for the team.
First Take, though, doesn't have that. And so Stephen A. wants the power of that. Belichick is going to be on with McAfee, but he's going to be on in a bunch of different places, isn't he?
He's going to be on the Manning Cast. He's going to be on McAfee. He's going to be on Inside the NFL and the CW.
Oh, yeah. The CW?
Oh, yeah. They're in the game.
Don't dismiss them.
What are they doing?
They're coming for everybody's stuff.
No, they're doing
Ryan Clark's show. It's a good one.
Yeah, they're actually performing quite well in terms of their sports coverage. It's something that we all snickered at first, but
it's a good show.
Well, not just that. That's always been a great show, but the CW as a player in the sports space is a new thing that got laughed at, but their numbers are doing well and their coverage is actually pretty good. Yeah.
I'm going to need the help from all of you when you say the CW and that show. This is the former Showtime show that used to be old guys.
HBO property, even back then. It's the same property that HBO canceled, Showtime picked up. Now it lives on the CW.
Home of One Tree Hill.
And how has Belichick been with the broadcasting?
Oh, he hasn't done anything yet.
We're not in the pro football season yet.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything yet. But he's a media darling. Early reports are he's going to be a media darling.
Camps are opening up this week.
I know.
It's here.
It's right around the corner.
49 days.
49 days away, Dan.
How did the Packers do it?
Camps are opening up, and God Bless Football will cover it with Stugotz doing shows next week for WFAN. With Billy not knowing that he was away.
I didn't even. He's still here apparently doing something. I don't know what he's doing. I can't track this guy.
WFAT. Billy, you're the producer of that show.
Yeah, correct.
And I fear for you being grandfathered into a situation that leaves Stugotz in charge of something that you're in charge of as the producer.
Well,
but you really do need to wrangle the portion of this that has you doing God Bless Football by yourself because your host doesn't show up or tell you.
Or I take advantage and I build my own empire while he's not paying attention.
Learned well from the king. Learned well. Let's see.
A lot of cats away.
Yeah.
How do you think Lorenzo got on the show last week? Wasn't a Stugotz suggestion.
Belichick's broadcasting career. What is that CW show now in its newest reincarnation? Because you guys said it used to be, this is one of the original places. I saw that this was a conversation that happened the other day between Pablo and Dominique, where Pablo is saying he is done with the jargon of the sport, and Dominique was saying to Pablo, you're just envious because you can't do some of the stuff that me and Orlovsky can do, where we're teaching people about football in condensed sound bites that are cubes. Belichick and Brady, their entire career, have been terrible in front of microphones, like epically, historically, uninteresting people in front of microphones. And now they're getting broadcasting jobs that are the prime broadcasting jobs.
So to answer your initial question, do you remember how the Dan Le Batard Show was on 790 and then on ESPN and then now with DraftKings?
Still the same show.
It's always been the same show, just a different place. This happened to Scrubs. Scrubs was on NBC. NBC decides no longer a part of it, goes to ABC. You tune into ABC thinking it's a different show. No, it's the same exact show. The only thing with the CW is, like when they do the wired for sound, you can't hear the F word.
So Inside the NFL started, believe it or not, in 1977 on HBO through 2008. Then it moved to Showtime, 2008 to 2021. Then from 2021 to 2023, Paramount Plus.
Yep. I was there for the Paramount days.
Now it's found its home on the CW. It's Ryan Clark, Chad Johnson, Chris Long's on there, Bill Belichick's on there, Channing Crowder's on there sometimes. I think Jay Cutler was on there a couple times.
Is he still on there? He was on the part
listed.
Of the Paramount.
Yeah.
Mike, you're saying that it's the same as the Dan Le Batard Show goes from 790 to ESPN, but all those people you mentioned have never been affiliated with that show until recently. Like that.
Bring up Lynn Dawson.
Yeah, okay. But Dan, like when it was on HBO, sometimes there'd be new cast members. Like
you cycle through.
You cycle. The show's been around for a very long time. Sometimes,
the show.
Yeah, but sometimes you make an investment like, okay, we signed Ray Lewis. He's going to be amazing. We signed Jerry Rice. He's going to be great at this. Yeah. And then we signed a 2-year deal. I wish it was a 1-year deal because they're not that good at this. Let's get the new name. Who's a new name? Julian Edelman? Let's do that same thing. All right, maybe we have a different fit for it.
Think like F-Boy Island used to be on Max, then it went to the CW. Or
Again-
Scrubs, maybe. Scrubs,
Yeah, well, he
is
mentioned
what
that.
it is?
Scrubs, NBC to
American
ABC,
Idol
yeah.
used to be on Fox. Now it's on
Brooklyn
on
Nine-Nine.
How
ABC.
about that,
to
huh?
Fox.
American Idol burned out at Fox, and then there was a bidding war to get it back just a year later. Who would have thought? Who
Family
thought that?
Matters.
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
went from
CBS.
ABC to CBS.
Really?
Family does matter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Again, the show you guys are describing, if you make all of the personalities be personalities who haven't been there for the last 2 years because they're all new, it ceases to be the same show. It
But
may
they're
have
not
the
all
same.
new.
It may
No.
say, well, how many of those people you
Chris
just
Long,
mentioned?
Ocho, and Ryan Clark were on last season.
Yeah, Channing
Belichick's
Crowder,
the only.
Channing Crowder goes back if he's still around there. Like, yeah, that. You
Forgive me,
remember you
I'm-
could always count on Boomer Esiason. Boomer Esiason
Yeah.
had a hell of a run.
And Nick Bonicatti. Yeah.
What a run! Oh,
Chris
man.
Collinsworth, I believe,
I'm
was
old
on there
enough
for
to
a time.
remember those years.
I think Dan Marino was on.
Yeah,
actually.
he was. He was. Dion, I think, maybe briefly. Like, oh man,
What is the best version of that show? Because again, the
always
correction
good-
that you guys are making on me, you say some of these people were on a year ago. They're all new cast members. That doesn't become the same show just because it has the same name.
Saturday Night Live doesn't have the original cast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I was literally just going
Checkmate.
there. Like when you were asking, like, what's the best incarnation of the show? It's the cast that you grew up with, because it taps into nostalgia. Yeah. So like it's a crew that you grew up watching or have the fondest memories of. That's what you're gonna say is the best. It's a different show aesthetically. There's a different graphics package. I do wish that they could just start it back up and I could just dial into the mid-90s HBO version of it, but that's not how evolution works, Daddy-O.
You haven't sat back and thought, oh, man, remember the Brandon Marshall years of Inside the NFL?
Michael
They do it all
Irvin.
the time.
Michael Irvin had a cup of coffee on
Yeah,
there.
oh, yeah. JB.
I want to see if I can find the sparks between Mike and Billy on what just happened with Lionel Messi, because I know that Billy and Greg Cody have been opposite Mike Ryan for a while. Yeah, you were mocking the other day the fact that he got injured grotesquely
No, I would not mock that.
with his ankle during Copa, which means he doesn't appreciate his Miami and MLS allegiances as much as he likes, because he's out there playing for his country in a game that really matters as opposed to his MLS obligations.
Well, Mike and I think, found common ground. We were talking about this just this morning, and it seems as though Messi has finally got his head on straight, and he's focusing on the big cup in the MLS.
Yeah, Billy's been pretty consistent that the only competition that matters is not any of these invented side trophies that you would attribute a value to. It's when he Googles Inter Miami and he Googles standings, that's the trophy.
table.
That's the trophy that matters.
Yep.
And Messi, because he's not physically capable, he's foregoing this league's cup, it would appear. He's not going to be able to play in this competition, which means the next time he plays, he's got a serious ankle injury. The next time he plays, it's going to be in that MLS Cup pursuit, which is in part the only cup that matters because it might be the only cup they actually have a shot at now.
It's also been the one that's eluded him his entire career. Never won one.
Never won one, even though he's only played a half season. for
Copa, he's
MLS.
won what? Two Copas now?
Yeah.
He's got 2 Copas. He's got 1 World Cup. No MLS Cup.
Now, your takes would be somehow even hotter if you could seize on the fact that Inter Miami without Messi
Look like dog shit. Sorry, pardon my French. Not great. It got to the point, Dan, that the opposing crowds, I don't know if you've seen this, are chanting, "You need Messi." Have you seen that? What do you think about that?
So you probably just saw that Cincinnati game.
Not dog shit.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I watch them all.
So there was like one loss in that part of the column where
Yeah.
I was going at Inter Miami without Messi. Pretty freaking
Terrible.
Good. No,
They're good?
Amazing without
No,
him.
that's not what I heard.
They're incredible. They just won last night, 3-1.
I don't focus on the W's and L's. I look at the kind of morale.
I
You know
think
what
you,
I mean?
I
Because
think
you have to
literally
wonder.
just focus on an L,
No,
which
no,
was
no.
the Cincinnati
You have
thing,
to
and
wonder-
you said flatly terrible when the
Terrible.
record is
That was
the
bad.
only loss on it.
But you have to wonder when this team's going to revolt, right? He brought all of his Avenger friends over here to come play in Miami and Fort Lauderdale at Drive PNK, formerly Drive PNK Stadium. It's something else now, right?
It's something
Chevron
else
Stadium
now,
or something? Whatever it's called. He brought all his friends here from all of their big Euro leagues and Euro teams, and now he's not even playing. And David Suarez is probably looking around. He's like, what am I doing?
It's how soccer works at every club.
It's also Luis Suarez.
That's the one.
And his friends are kicking ass.
Yeah, well, they're
As is
kicking
the
ass now,
entire
but
team.
at a certain point, you think, you know what? I came here to play with my friend Leo, and Leo's not playing, and now I have to carry all this weight. Should he even hoist the cup? Should we win it? I don't know. I don't know.
They're doing tremendous.
They're going to get mad. I'm telling you, the resentment is coming, and there's going to be some infighting.
Resentment? He
Trust
got them
me,
jobs.
He got them jobs, and then he's not doing his own. That's not how that works. You don't say, hey, come, let's hang out. I can't go to set a fare. I don't want to do that.
But he's doing what you asked him to do, which is just only care about the MLS. He's not even going to attempt to play in this league's cup.
You're trying to trap me here. I don't think that you believe that that's what he's doing. I don't think that you believe that that's what he's doing.
Not trying to trap
I don't
you.
think that you think that he cares about Inter Miami.
Billy's
That's what I
like
don't think.
Billy Joel playing Piano Man right now.
Don't.
Just you're
Oh,
bored.
that hits different on a
Billy's
Saturday
even
night.
bored with this. Billy's like just singing Piano Man right now.
He
Just
literally called him David Suarez.
Yeah, that's his name, isn't it? What's his name? Diego? What's his name?
Are you mad at Messi?
Am I mad at him?
Yeah, because he has not treated respectfully the only city you've ever loved.
I don't understand what he's doing. Why are we doing photo shoots with
doing
him
what
wearing a
every
jersey?
soccer player would
Why are
do.
we doing photo shoots with him wearing a jersey he refuses to wear on the pitch? He'll wear any jersey, but now they have this new Dolphins-looking jersey for their team. It's so cool looking. He's never going to wear it. Never. I want to go support this team. I never know if he's going to play or not. He doesn't know if he's going to play. More often than not, he doesn't play. I just respect the city, man. We embrace you when no one else wanted you.
Everybody would have wanted him.
No, it was us in Qatar.
Everybody would have wanted him.
It's what he wanted.
He is our senior Knicks correspondent. He's the commissioner of fandom. He's here on official comedy business, though. I just saw his special last night. It's great. He is a maximum professional. You've Changed is the name of it, Amazon Prime Video. He's also currently on tour, sammorril.com for show and ticket info. And I believe him to be the architect of the single best bit going on in comedy right now, which is he appears on morning shows, morning television shows all over the land, and appears to clearly not want to be there, and the whole thing blows up around him because human beings don't know how to react to his awkwardness. I thought he would only be brave enough to do it in Hawaii or with some of the local shows, but he sabotaged Morning Joe the other day because he doesn't have respect for anything in morning television. So, Sam, take me through what it is that you're doing there, how much you're enjoying it, and how mad these people are getting at you because you're not respecting what they do for a living.
Well, that one was weird because I had a publicist there with me who was like, "Do not burn Morning Joe to the ground, dude. This is a big show. Don't do it." And I was like, "Well, I think it'd be rude to treat Morning Joe any differently than one of these local Hawaii shows, you know." But I go in there and he clearly hasn't seen the special, but I guess some booker there did and liked it. So the booker or producer, whatever, is feeding him questions from me. And all I did was he said, "Oh, you compare guns and babies masterfully." So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I know he hasn't seen this, but someone told him to say that. But he's kind of set me up to tell a guns and baby bit, and the punch of that bit was basically, both will be in school soon. So I just saw his look go like this is not my type of comedy. But it just didn't make any sense because he pretended he loved it, but then he was like, "Oh, I don't like this guy." So that just made it weird. And I just had to kind of go all in on it. And then I told Al Sharpton I think he'd be a huge fan of mine. And, what's he going to do? He's looking right at me. He's like, yeah, I think so. But it was just, it was a mess. It was.
So what do you say to your, what do you say to your,
what?
I'm sorry, what do you say to your publicist after that? Because it didn't go well. It went well for you. It went well because you don't respect these things. And it probably went well with your fans who like you to make things extra awkward. But what does your publicist say afterward?
She was laughing. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I didn't do anything that bad in that situation. I just kind of, I just told a joke from my special that I thought he was teeing me up for. So she wasn't really upset. I mean, yeah, sometimes those shows, those MSNBC shows are kind of humorless. So you know, or they'll like set you up for jokes and then just kind of like, I remember I went on Ari Melber once and he just would like kind of like set me up for jokes and then just like stare at me and be like, and you're like, yeah, well, what do you want me to do with this? I'm just, you know, there's just like this type of like elitism where they're just like, all right, dance, clown, and then you do dance for them because it's, you know, it's TV and they're just like, nah.
Take me through, though, the idea of it, because it's made me laugh every time I've seen you do it. And you're not being disrespectful. You're just sort of being yourself in environments that are kind of fraudulent.
That's the main thing, right? Like these morning TV shows are not. That's why I think people like them, because they're like, no one talks like this anymore. Like you worked in broadcasting forever, Dan. You never spoke like this. You just speak like yourself. So when you're watching a TV show and a guy's like, so tell me what you've done with, you know, it's like, well, that doesn't look like a real person. So it's already kind of funny to just speak like I speak, you know? And yeah, and I mean, we did one in Utah, and the only times I really get booked on morning shows, none of my friends will do them. They're like, you're a psycho. You wake up at 8 a.m. after doing night shows just to like ruin a TV show. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And I was in Utah, and the only ones that really book me anymore for the most part are ones that are aware that I do this and they're down to play along. But I guess the female anchor was down to play along, and the guy was pissed that I was there. So I'm in the green room with my friend Gary Vietor, and we're just hanging. I made him come with me. I was like, I can't do these alone anymore because, you know, it's like a bank robbery. You need a car waiting for you afterwards because it's awkward. It's awkward to just.
It's what I love about it. You're purposely descending into how uncomfortable can I make this for everyone, including myself, while everyone's watching.
Exactly. And this one, it's on YouTube, I think. I'm in Utah, and the anchor, this guy's like looks like a good looking Mormon dude, comes in and he goes, oh, you're gonna mess with me? You're gonna mess with me on the show? Like, not in a friendly way. Like he's like trying to like big dog me. And I look at Gary and I go, yeah. And he's just like, we'll see. Like he's trying to like big dog me. And I'm just like, all right, that was weird. It was like uncomfortable. We looked at each other like that was really uncomfortable. But you know, his show's live. He can't really do anything when I go on. So now I'm going to take it a step further. I think I have to. So I just it was like the week the P. Diddy thing broke. So I bring up P. Diddy immediately. And they're like, we can't talk about that. And I'm like, cool. P. Diddy. I just keep doing it. And he's just like getting really annoyed. But the woman is laughing. She's cracking up. And the crew is laughing. And then at the end, he was like, well, you'll never be allowed back here. And like, I have to pretend to be like her. I'm like, oh, I can't come back on Good Morning Salt Lake. This is crazy. So then the woman was like, no, we can have him. Like, she was cool. She was in on it. And of course, the second I get off, I had an Uber waiting because I'm ready. I call the Uber before I go on because I know what's coming. And but I had to
establish a getaway car.
I have to. You have to have a car ready. So as I'm leaving, the whole crew's stopping me for like selfies because they're like, we hate him. So I'm like a hero to the crew.
The idea, though, and I'll get to other stuff in a second, the idea for it comes from where? Because the first time you did it, you're now actively seeking stuff that is discomfort because this bit is so funny. But not unlike Ali G, you're finding it more difficult to find people who you can blindside.
Yeah, well, unlike Ali G, I'm just myself. Like, he didn't go on as Sacha Baron Cohen. You know, that's the thing. He's like, well, I was doing a character. People are like, man, Sam Morril's a piece of shit. That's what I get, you know? But yeah, it's getting a little harder. It's getting harder to. I did one recently that they didn't air. The hard thing is when it's not. I told my PR person, like, I'll only do it if it's live, because if they tape it, they'll just cut everything I do out. But she's like, we got you on a big one. It's not live, but you should do it. And if you're just like, if you do enough, they're gonna have to leave some of it in. I did like a 7-minute interview. It ended up airing like a minute 30 because they're just like, yeah, none of this. We're not allowing anything you do on TV. So you just have to awkwardly leave an ABC studio like, thank you, you know, but they're like, get the f- out.
SamMorril.com for show and ticket information. And like I said, You've Changed is the Amazon Prime Video. Your career has been interesting for a number of different reasons. One of them being you took a YouTube possibility and turned it into something from risk into legitimate business. What can you tell me about what you feel is different or done better as you've arrived at a place in your evolution where it makes you better than you've ever been?
What do you mean? Like
with You've Changed?
I was also confused.
With You've Changed.
How did the Packers do it?
How do you feel about where you've arrived in your career and why this special would be better or different than the others you've done?
I like this one better than my last few for sure, just because I got to take time with it. I got to tour with it. I feel like I rushed a couple in a row. Like, I did a rooftop COVID thing, which was cool to do because nothing was open in New York, but I wasn't exactly in good comedy shape at the time. And then I did a Netflix one, and I kind of rushed that one because I had to have a new hour for a theater tour, so I had to kind of rush a special out to tour on. And this one, I finally took a minute to really breathe and write, and hit over 90 cities for this one to really make sure it was tight. And Australia, Europe, I took it all over. Like, let's make sure there's funny everywhere. And I think that's kind of what you have to do,
Well, it's extraordinary. Like, it's your efficiency with the joke telling. There's just, I don't know how you do this part of it, but there's not a lot of fat in these.
Yeah, well, that comes from just like telling it again and again. And I hate doing this, but I used to open for Dave Attell, and he would say, like, you have to listen to your sets. You have to like force yourself. It's like the most miserable part of it because like I'm sick of me. So, but then I'm like, oh, I have to listen to me. But then you just you've learned to just fast forward through the set and listen to the part that the new jokes. And you're like, let me just try to add on to the new jokes. And the stories are the hardest because I'm not a natural storyteller. I'm more of a joke writer. So, but you need stories if you're doing an hour, or it's going to be really hard to keep filling hours. You need to tell, and you listen, you're like, man, why doesn't hopefully the ending already, and then you kind of fill in the blank. But sometimes you're telling it, you're like, how is this supposed to end? I don't even know. So it's a lot of falling on your face, trial and error. Like, let's see if this works. And that's why you have to tour. Like, if I see a comic put out a special and it's loosey-goosey and indulgent, I'm like, oh, this fucker took it to LA and New York, and that's it. You better be going to Chattanooga and Knoxville and everywhere with your comedy to make sure you're cutting the fat and making it as good as possible.
How do you settle on the outfit?
The suit?
Yeah, I didn't love the shirt, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was going through and I was like, I don't watch this, but I don't know about this shirt. I'm not 100% sold.
What a hard person to sell there, Jesus. Yeah. I don't like this guy's shirt. I'm not going to watch his comedy.
Man, I'm going to commit to 90 minutes of this shirt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm interested now to see what the shirt is. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, see, there we go. We got another viewer. Man, I didn't realize that the Le Batard Show was going to be so fashion forward here. But
well, look at him. Look at everyone in this room criticizing a shirt that I didn't give a second thought to. Like, what's wrong with the shirt?
Everybody.
Guess who did approve it? Tan France from Queer Eye, who picked the outfit out for me.
Pick up that name.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I just dropped his
name.
Come on.
Yeah, here's what happened. Here's what happened with the outfit. Nate Bargatze's a comic that I've known forever, and he's a dude that he did an Amazon special, so I kind of hit him up before, just asking advice and trying to pick his brain. And he was like, go with Amazon this time, mix it up. And he said, I want you to wear a suit. I think it'd be really cool. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, I think it's like, he's like, you've done enough specials where yeah, you don't like the shirt though.
Well, but Sam,
I was expecting
I don't
purple
get it. It's
when
just
he
a
said that.
white. It's a white dress shirt.
It's got a collar on it.
It's a white dress shirt. I don't have any idea what Billy's
it's not totally
objecting
white.
to.
It's a little off-white.
Yeah,
but yeah,
off-white,
I would have thought it was a Knicks shirt. That's what I'm used to. Like, I guess it's just jarring because it's different from what we've seen. Oh, by the way, congratulations on Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
Had to wrap it.
Discount.
Yeah, I'm pumped about him. But yeah, I'd never like done an adult special, and this was finally one where I had a budget to really play with. So that's why the backdrop. Hopefully you don't hate that too. I thought it looked cool. Tried to make it look like an old school film noir or something, like an alleyway. And so it's the first special I had like a real budget. So I felt weird not dressing up if I'm dropping all this money on the backdrop.
Sam, don't get distracted by them laughing at the background. He's purposely an anarchist. Like it's his role on the show. It couldn't be any more benign it's a benign dress shirt.
I think Billy cut Sam a little bit. I got him on his heels just a little bit.
I'm not second guessing it at all.
You're saying that you didn't second guess it now, but when you were presented with it, where you're like, I don't know if this like fits people's perception of me.
Yeah, of course. But I did. Luckily, I had Vegas like 2 weeks before, and it doesn't feel right to wear a suit in some places, but I decided, I was like, I'll throw a suit on for in a casino. It feels kind of natural. It was like pictures of Sinatra and everyone everywhere. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it felt fine. I was like, this works.
You look good, Sam. Don't let him undercut you.
That's fine. I'm just curious. I'm just asking.
Tell us more about how you felt about everything that happened with Brunson. And it seems like, and I don't blame him, I'd do the same thing if I was in charge. It seems like this is all nefarious stuff to get around the salary cap.
Why do you call it nefarious?
Because you're working with your relationships to get someone to take $113 million less than anybody else would take in the same situation.
I think, look, it's been over 50 years since the Knicks have won a championship, so I think he knows what he's doing. He's trying to achieve New York immortality. He wants to win. He's a dude who clearly, it's all about winning. And now we got Bridges, and I think all these guys just want to win a championship in New York together. Like, man, how good is the 30 for 30 going to be if these four guys win a ring in New York after what they did at Villanova? I think it's awesome if they could do it.
You would agree that Philadelphia is still ahead, correct? Or would you not agree with that?
You think they have a better team? I don't know. I think it's pretty tight. I think that, look, Daryl Morey did a great job. I got to give him credit. I think he's a really good GM, and you brought back Oubre, which was big. You lose Tobias Harris, which is also big, and then you pay a lot of money for Paul George. It's expensive, but no doubt he's a great player. And then who else? I mean, a big three, if you're healthy, of Maxey, George, and Embiid is tough as hell. But I don't think the Knicks are done. I don't think you can be done. I think you gotta get a killer backup center, and I think it's a good series. I don't know. I'm always going to go with my heart, which is the Knicks, but I think you got to put the Celtics first because they're the defending champs, and then I think Philly and the Knicks are the next two best teams, and then Milwaukee.
So you don't get scared of what Philadelphia just did? Like, obviously, you were playing them 2-7. All the games were close. Embiid wasn't quite right. You can't always trust Embiid's health, but you add Paul George as the replacement to Tobias Harris. That is a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But, PG and Embiid they're two dudes that are never really healthy. So I don't know. We added Mikal Bridges, and hopefully we bring in a killer backup center. The Knicks are looking pretty good too, I think. But yeah, I hear you. Maxey's unbelievable. They're a tough team.
You're going to be down here performing several shows in August. Then you go to Europe in September. You got Dublin, Paris, Amsterdam, Stockholm, London. Do you have a city where you've been stunned that they love you, that you can't believe that your reach extends to there?
Yeah, I already sold out a show in Amsterdam, and I'm like, how the f- is this possible? I'm definitely, I can't say I'm like super pumped because I think like 21-year-old me would be like, I got to bang a prostitute, but I'm 37. I'll probably go to the Anne Frank house or something,
Why are you popular in Amsterdam? Do you have any
I don't
idea?
know. I think they like comedy there a lot, I think. I think they have a big comedy audience.
Because your business, you have to be sophisticated about knowing what sells, do you not? You can't. I think a lot of people think that comics aren't quite as calculated as they have to be, given that there's no safety net, no health benefits, and you're responsible for your funny paying for everything.
Yeah, I think Europe surprises you. Like I did Australia last year. I didn't think I'd sell tickets in Australia, but people came out, and it's surprising to go to a new place and people are happier there. But look, there's some places like Sweden ain't selling well, so you never know.
All right. Sweden. You've Changed is the name of the special Amazon Prime Video. Again, he's a master of his craft. It's great to have him as our senior Knicks correspondent. Thank you, Sam. Good seeing you again.
Thanks, dude.
He was less enthusiastic about the Knicks in his energy level that I wanted to be, and I think it's because Billy took him out. I think Billy.
It's a nice shirt.
I know, it's a nice shirt.
Looks really good.
Man can't ask a question.
I just don't understand why. It's just.
It's a curiosity of mine. You wonder about joke construction. I wonder about fashion choices because these specials are going to be out there forever. How do you choose what to wear?
But when you said that, I'm like, man, this must be like a bright color,
a polyester
I'm
disco
what
shirt.
I am so
some sort.
interested. And
Like
then
blue
Billy's
and
like,
orange.
here it is, and it's just like
Just
the
a little
most
off-white.
basic suit that
know,
I've ever
vertical
seen.
stripes. I don't know. I mean, but look at videos of how he normally dresses. It's not like that. I'm just curious. I'm sorry that this piqued my curiosity. Sorry I offended Sam Morril. What's that? Wow. The spread. Nope.
No.
That's right. It's time for Thursday Thunder.
Oh, you can't say that's right when he gets the wrong bit.
Yeah,
That's
he's
wrong.
Actually.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
And it's brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about what DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Juju cooked it up. Jeremy, what do we got?
We've got an incredible pick because I don't know if you guys know this, and not everyone does, but the WNBA All-Star game this year is the WNBA All-Stars against Team USA. And that's going to be a really awesome matchup.
Yeah,
Team
this is
USA minus 238. That's who we're choosing here. We're taking Team USA over the All-Stars.
A giant favorite.
Giant favorite. They'll be the first part. Baseball's back on Friday. Juju's from Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. We're taking the Braves minus 175.
Giant favorite.
And finally, Muhammad Usman fighting against Thomas Peterson. We're taking Usman minus 130.
How did those do while I was away? Did we win any of the Thursday
Yes,
just tell 'em
Thunder?
yes, guys.
Yes, everything.
Sure, yeah.
Crushed
I
it.
think, yeah.
Every single bet that we told people to take,
Yeah.
it won.
I took Team Chevy to win the NASCAR street race. They won.
Oh.
Did NASCAR did better ratings than Wimbledon?
Look, I'd never thought I was ever an influencer, but NASCAR's pulling some dubs ever since I decided to come along to the fray. So we can't rule out. We can't rule it out. We can't rule it out. Yeah, no, it dwarfed the size of the Wimbledon men's final. Now, maybe some of that could have been because it wasn't a great final and that it was just 3 sets and it didn't last super long, but that's Djokovic, that's Alcaraz. This is the tricky triangle in Pocono. This is really encouraging for NASCAR, especially as they're heading into new deals. They have Amazon and whatnot. I'm telling you, this might be the first time in national history where a sport used to be referred to as the fastest growing sport in America and totally blew that opportunity. And then maybe 15 to 20 years later can once again be referred to as the fastest growing sport in America.
Can I reach out to you as an ally here and a fellow seam head? Yesterday, no.
Gearhead.
No, seam head. This is where I'm going.
Baseball.
Baseball?
Baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
Seam head.
Go M's.
Yesterday, I was telling everyone how great Justin Steele is and how she'd hammer the steel. And no one wanted to buy. And you were there in
I
person.
was there.
You
It's
watched it.
complete
Hammer the
game.
steel. They call us the Masons. Big Justin Steele fans because we hammer the steel.
That dude works quick. Big fan. Yeah. Big fan of how fast he
I'm
works.
telling you, hammer
Also-
the steel tomorrow.
Also, I don't know if anyone's ever said this. Wrigley, great park.
One of the
I don't
few.
think anyone's ever
No one's ever said that. One of the few places I've ever been where I got goosebumps walking into the place. But I think that's a
What?
very
You got
controversial.
goosies.
Yeah.
I got.
Wow.
I went. It was my first time. I had like tickets to Wrigley for a Marlins game when I was more into baseball. It was during my honeymoon, and the game got rained out. Len Casper hooked it up via Boog, and now Boog, who I just casually ran into on the streets in Chicago when someone was just shouting across the way, he had already hooked me up with tickets, but I actually got to meet up with him just like by happenstance. It was wonderful. He hooked up my family with tickets to go see the Cubs, and I wanted Juliet to really experience it and understand that there was something here. But how do I explain the history of this place to a 4-year-old? We watched Rookie of the Year. the day before. And so she identified it with the movie. It was amazing.
I'm sure she sat through that.
It was no, she loved it. She loves The Sandlot too. Like she's gotten into like baseball movies. Mighty Ducks, not so much. Mighty Ducks 2, not so much. But it was incredible. Did you know about it? They got bars around everywhere. Ivy. I mean, there were a lot of passionate fans, and they got a beautiful brand new DraftKings sportsbook that's adjacent to it, which is an amazing place to watch a game. They're doing something right up there.
I owe the audience an apology. Masons work with stone. Blacksmiths work with steel. So if you hammer the steel like me and Mike, you're a blacksmith.
A good correction.
Yeah.
I remember Bobby Bowden one time said that he didn't want to retire because there was only one big event after retirement, which was death. And he also said of nostalgia, he said nostalgia is not so great when you're talking about what it used to be in the dentist chair many years ago back in my day. So I get the goosebumps walking into Wrigley Field because I know the history, which becomes less romantically nostalgic when you're using a urinal from 1918.
Oh, they got a trough there. No thanks, pal.
Still? All right, we just got a post game now.
Not going
Dan,
to
you can get out of here for this.
Yeah. So like, I tried to go to the bathroom in Wrigley, and thankfully they had like the trough there. I'm like, oh god, it was the first thing that I saw. But right next to it, they had urinals. I'm like, who is the psychopath that is just deciding to go in the trough? Wait, is this the first ever like trough that's here just for nostalgia's sake? Like, yeah, we upgraded, but so many people want to come here and just take a piss in this trough. We can't bring ourselves to totally eliminate this.
Were people using it?
Yeah, there was.
I think I used it. I tell people you used it.
Yeah, I could tell.
Like, people, what do you think? People are going to take a mental picture of your wiener and talk about it?
There was
Who
actually.
cares?
I actually did like a weird like social study in that I saw the people using the trough and the people using the urinal. There was quite the age discrepancy.
Really? That's what I would imagine.
Trough users, they either came up in that game or also ceased giving Fs. Yeah. And the younger audience that is like, well, everything's being documented. My phone's listening to me. They're taking photos left and right. They're going to see my dick if I use this thing. Less likely if I use this urinal. And I subscribe to that. I always think everyone's trying to look at my dick.
I feel like if someone takes a picture of your wiener at the bathroom at Wrigley, you
Good
have
luck.
quite the lawsuit on your hands.
No,
and you're going to get paid.
No, it's not.
You should be asking people to take pictures of your wiener so you get sued.
Man, I never know where the cameras are. I doubt they're in there, but
you should buy a Wizinator to pee there just so you get the experience.
Dick.
Yeah.
Well,
and
part
then
of
you get
it's
the
like,
experience of the trough. And then also you don't have, expose yourself.
Look, guys, we've all been there. We have peripheral vision, right? So you settle up, and some people are a little bit more confident. Like, you're stacking yourself up subconsciously, whether you want to or not. And that, from what I caught, I feel like I'm doing okay. Or sometimes, like, from what I caught, not in this venue. Yeah. What are they feeding the people over here in Washington, D.C.?
Nobody boxes out like I do in a bathroom, though. You're never seeing my weenie. Never going to be able to see it. I'm going to be first of all, I'm going to go to one of the corners, and obviously you can't see it from there because I'm going a little right. Even if I'm in the middle, though, I am one with that urinal. I am getting up in that thing. There's no contact. That's yucky. I'm not touching it at all.
Middle spot, never pick
If you came in, you'd think I am having sex with this urinal because I am in it.
I
am in that.
I actually had the experience where the middle one came open, and there was a line for the corner ones. I'm like, you can go ahead. Yeah, I'm not taking that middle one. That's where everyone looks at your dick.
I was at Ferg's in Tampa, like the bar that everyone goes to before Tampa games, and they have like kegs as their urinals, and I fit perfectly in there.
Sandbar
like
had
it's
that
like basically
for
a mini keg that they cut a little square into.
Sandbar in the Grove had that.
Man, you would never see my wiener in there.
Yeah, you never peed in the keg at Sandbar?
I did. Who are the people that pee on the floor around it?
That's a good question.
Like, how far back are you standing that you miss a urinal?
A lot of that is splashback.
I couldn't be closer.
Much. It's so wet.
But it just builds up over time. That's why you need those pads.
Yeah.
Those pee pads that kind of soak that up. Yeah. They do a pretty damn good job with that. How do the Packers do it?
I don't know, and I also don't know. We haven't found a single good batting stance in today's base. I tweeted out hours ago.
Ohtani.
Send me Ohtani, but like even Ohtani, like
that's pretty standard.
The names like Juan Soto has kind of a fun stance.
It's not even his stance.
I'm telling you, our standard for that, like those stances in the '90s we wouldn't even think of them. Like,
I think it's hurting the game.
I do, like
because there are connection points. Like, oh, this guy's what's this guy's story?
Right. Like it's really bad. Like I've been waiting for just one tweet where someone's going to send me a picture of a stance where I'm like, oh, okay, there's one. There's not a single interesting stance in this entire league.
Wow.
Efficiency, ruining everything.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Consultants.
Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
100%.
Wait, you
It's
can be
everyone's
more
cookie cutter.
efficient if you have just a generic stance?
Yeah, because you're trying to get in your swing to be able to create like the proper backspin on the ball. You're going from point A to point B.
Well, stances
and
are a
everyone
big
is
farce
taught,
because
everyone's taught.
every batter ends at the same spot. Like right before, like they swing, their hands are back, their foot is down. Like
Right, and
you
so
know,
they're
Galarraga-
eliminating movement.
It's about timing, though.
Galarraga might have his stance wide open, but when the pitch comes, he's planting and he looks normal.
You got to
Like,
be
so-
ready with 8 seconds left. Also,
That's true.
Yeah.
No time for shenanigans.
I saw
entirely
Gary
different.
Sheffield golfing over
What?
the weekend, and I was so disappointed that on the
I didn't
first
see
tee,
him swing
where
at
the
all.
first
Does
tee,
he have any waggle with his swing?
No, I would have assumed like I was there for him, A-Rod, and Albert Pujols. They were in the first group on day one. They do our friend Nick does these crazy great intros for it. And I would have thought that he would have given the people what they wanted, which is, go up to the tee box and give a little bat
Little Happy
waggle.
Gilmore.
You're on the senior circuit, pal. You give the people what they want.
No.
Did you see Roger Clemens on 17? He just started pitching.
Yeah, I
folks.
saw that.
Oh boy.
Like
He walked Pujols. He was afraid.
that was such a great
Yeah.
little jocular moment. Where
Who
we like
was
to
the
have
other? Oh no,
fun.
it was Barkley. He like actually threw pitches to, and then when Pujols came up, he's like, nope, 4.
It was all a setup just to intentionally walk Pujols.
Good fun.
That's such a fun place.
Good clean fun. That's 17th hole.
Yeah.
What a time.
It is. How do the Packers do?
I don't no clue.